Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, that's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. And Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back to it. That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Yeah. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there. Sure. Yeah. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information.
Thumbtack presents the ins and outs for caring for your home. Out. Indecision, overthinking, second-guessing every choice you make. In. Plans and guides that make it easy to get home projects done. Out. Beige on beige on beige. In. Knowing what to do, when to do it, and who to hire. Start caring for your home with confidence. Download Thumbtack today.
This week, in Gaffney, South Carolina, what seems like a run-of-the-mill domestic murder becomes something much different when a mysterious caller to a newspaper editor reveals that there may be other bodies still left to find. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Oh, yay, indeed, Jimmy. Yay, indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmy Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today. Let me just say off the bat, one of the craziest things we've ever covered today. You need to listen until we say this show is over. Do not turn it on. No, all right, well, that's resolved. Yeah. No, it's not. Trust me. This is one of those where it's just a shock around every corner. It's wild. So stay tuned for that. Thank you, though, for hanging out with us, and thank you for joining us once again. If it's your first time, hello. Welcome aboard. Thanks for coming in here very quickly before we get started, because this is a deep case, too. So we want to get through town stuff quick and all this quick and get right into the murdery parts.
Okay.
So I just want to thank everybody for their reviews this week. If you haven't done it yet, that purple icon, Apple Podcast, give us 5 stars. It doesn't take you any time, and it helps drive the show up the charts. We have no idea why, but it does, and you can counteract some people who have been mad at us for various reasons, and you can outweigh those people. So thank you for doing that if you do that. Also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com for everything small town murder and crime and sports related. If you're not listening to crime and sports, trust me, try the last 2 weeks. Can't go wrong. You will like it even if you don't care about sports. The stories are so insane that it transcends sports or anything else. It's just if you like a crazy story where we do some comedy in it, you should probably listen to those because you're going to like them a lot. Also, check out P.S. I Hate This Movie on Fridays where we make fun of bad romantic comedies and things like that. I got made fun of for liking Alicia Silverstone when I was 15 this week.
Well,
so what are you going to do there? You can hear about that. That's fun stuff there.
Everybody's got a crush.
Yeah, you know how that goes. And now if you want to be a subscriber and a producer, more importantly, of Patreon, you can do that very easily. Jimmy will mispronounce your name at the end of the show. More importantly, you'll get access to a ton of bonus stuff. We do a ton of bonus small town murder and crime and sports, and you'll have access to the last year and a half's worth of bonus stuff if you sign up at the $5 or above level. Very easy to do that. Patreon.com/crime and sports. Or if you just want to be a nice person and, get your karma going nicely and things like that, you can also just make a regular donation over at PayPal using our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. And you'll just be a lovely person who gets their name shouted out at the end of the show. So that said, quick disclaimer.
Yes.
This is a comedy podcast, guys. Everybody, comedy. Yeah. This is comedy. The story is true. We could not make this up. We're not that creative. No. Trust me. Stories are true. Nothing's made up to make it funny or anything like that. But generally, in life, when crazy things happen, there's some weirdness around it that tends to be funny.
Right.
And that doesn't usually include the actual murder, but honestly, the stuff around it is most of the story. Yeah. And that's where the comedy lies. We make fun of small towns. Sure. Some police force that let a murderer go free for 10 years or lock the wrong person up or something. We're going to make fun of that. Yeah. We make fun of murderers. What the hell else do we have? We can't do anything about it. Not like I can go to his house and...
It's not legal to punch him.
Go to jail and yell at him. I can't do anything. So we make fun of him here. But what we don't do, what we go out of our way to try not to do, is we don't make fun of the victim or the victim's families.
Why?
Because we're assholes, but we're not scumbags.
And there you have it.
That's how it works there. If that sounds good to you, we're going to have a blast. If not, you don't think true crime and comedy they just should never go together, then this probably isn't for you.
Yeah.
And either way, maybe give it a shot, but we're warning you ahead of time, so there's no reason to complain about it afterwards. You know what you're getting. You know what you're getting yourself into. It's a good time, and for everyone that wants to have a good time and hear a wild story, I think it's time, Jimmy.
Sure.
I think it's time to sit back and shout, "Shut up and give me murder!" Let's do this, Jimmy.
All right.
Let's go on a trip, shall we? We've been in the Northeast the last couple weeks.
Well,
New York, then Pennsylvania. We've been stuck up there. We're going to go down south this week.
Okay.
A little different here. We're going to go down to South Carolina, Gaffney, South Carolina.
Jesus.
This isn't like coastal.
No.
Like my dad lives down there now, and he lives
There's
like
some nice areas.
It's like a mile from the ocean.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he lives like by Myrtle Beach. It's nice and stuff. This isn't that. This is up in.
This is sticky.
This is deep South Carolina, as you could call it.
This is the South Carolina where they don't have palm trees.
Exactly. Right? Yeah, and they would. What the hell's that? I don't like that tree.
Yeah,
that's one of them gay California trees I heard about. That's one of them. I don't like it. It's giving me impure thoughts looking at it all pointy.
They put one on my license plate and on my car's gay.
Oh, Jesus. No good. So this is in north central South Carolina. It's heading toward a small little panhandle, inward there. It's very close to the North Carolina border.
Really?
So it's up there. It's in and up, basically. 5 hours down to Myrtle Beach. Okay. So nowhere near that. About an hour to Charlotte, North Carolina.
That place is decent.
That's the closest. Yeah, we were there last summer.
It
was nice. It was hot as shit.
Jesus Christ.
So hot and sticky. And we're from Phoenix. So when we get out, we walk out of a hotel and go, oh, Jesus, what the shit? It's hot. That means it's really hot.
When you get back to the hotel and you shut a car door and it's all silent out there except for that eerie fucking bug noise.
The crickets and the locusts and whatever the shit's
horrifying.
going on. Yeah, Charlotte's you guys got some insects going on down there. But
boy,
nice people.
I hope that's insects.
Nice theater.
If that's some sort of animal that makes that god-awful
I assumed
racket.
It was people out there just squawk, waiting.
Rubbing a stick on something that's rigid.
Looking around, that's what I figured it was. Just rednecks sitting in trees, guarding their moonshine stills. I don't know. No, Charlotte's not like
twisting that sound prop. Because that's the noise. It is
That's
scary.
what it is, yeah. It's about an hour and a half to Townville, South Carolina, which was our last South Carolina episode, which was all the way back episode 124, pretty much exactly a year ago, June 19th, 2019. So we're doing an exact year there on South Carolina. It's in Cherokee County, area code 864. It's about 8.5 square miles, so not too big, not too small. The motto here, and they mean this shit, it is the peach capital of South Carolina.
Okay.
And or our murders are just peachy. That's the other one. You'll like our peachy murders. That's they got a lot of them. So
they got to be pissed at Georgia, huh?
Oh yeah.
Taking responsibility for all of them. We got them too.
This town doesn't give a shit though, because they built. Trust me, they built this giant water tank that looks like a peach. It's fucking bonkers. They're really into it. This is the town that Kevin Spacey's character on Frank Underwood. God damn it! Fucking
House of Cards.
House of Cards is from Gaffney, South Carolina, and talks about the big peach thing. And
Gotcha.
So the guy named Michael A. Gaffney is the guy who named after. He came from Ireland in 1775, came to New York City, and then moved to Charleston, South Carolina, and then decided to move again and found here.
Yeah.
He established a tavern and a lodging house, and it became known as Gaffney's Crossroads. And that was that. And he had an interesting description of the place.
Oh, boy.
He wrote a letter to somebody in his journal, and it was, and then ended up being sent to somebody later on, of what he found when he got here. And it's this. Let's see. Quote, I expected to see a fine country, but was surprised to find it poor, sandy, rocky, and hilly. The people are poor. Their dress is generally a hunting shirt and trousers of coarse cotton yarn. Every farmer or planter is his own shoemaker, tanner, tailor, carpenter, brazier, and in fact, everything else. Everything comes by the farmer or his family. It is the business of the wife and daughter to pick cotton and have it brought home, pick it from the seed, spin it, weave it, and make it ready for your back. Jesus.
All right.
Some of the girls make very handsome cloth. Here they must do everything from cooking to plowing, and after that they have no more life than Indian squaws. They hardly ever sit down to the table with their husbands, but wait on them like menial servants. So, yeah.
Why is he so mad?
What he found is the South.
Yeah.
He's from the North and was like, what the fuck is going on down here? Jimmy's kidding, by the way. He's not looking for a geisha servant at all here.
Not at all.
No, this is, that's fucking hilarious. But that sounded like someone from modern times went back there and they're like, this is crazy. They don't have a store. They make all their own shit. These chicks do everything.
Right.
Fuck, it's ridiculous.
How do you leave New York and then go to Charleston, which couldn't be any more different at that time?
Know.
And then go inland and be like, well, this just got worse. How are you surprised by that?
The only thing I can see is it's like open, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he died here,
Really?
Gaffney did, in 1854. And in 1872, it became known as Gaffney City. And then Gaffney became the county seat. So they have all the records, as we know, from all these things here. And it became a part of Cherokee County here. And Gaffney became a big center for the textile industry in South Carolina. Yeah. A lot of people, even in our story, are working in the textile mills here, all the way up until the 80s when that all kind of fell apart.
That's when it fell apart there?
Yeah, the 80s kind of did that there.
They started sending it overseas or something?
I think that's probably when we started buying shit from
Walmart.
From Walmart and shit like that. Yeah,
God,
so they stopped making stuff down there.
Arkansas.
So, fuck Arkansas. As you can hear a couple weeks ago in Marmaduke, Arkansas, definitely fuck Arkansas. So the Peachoid, it's called, is a million-gallon water tank constructed and painted to look like a giant peach.
Okay.
It's just a giant fucking peach water tank. I'll post it on social media as
Good Lord.
It's ridiculous
Seems
looking.
like that would take a lot of time.
But it's like, let's do this, and then we'll have people will go, oh, that town with the giant peach, and they're known for something.
Right.
Then
That's my point.
besides murder.
That takes a lot of time. Like somebody said, look, we should make that into a peach, and then somebody was like, you know how much time that'll take?
Yeah,
there should have been like, yeah, you're right. We won't do it.
1981, but we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we have nothing else to talk about here. They got a farmer's market that they're very proud of that I don't care at all about. In 2009, there was a guy named Patrick Tracy Burris, and I'd saved the story except for the fact that we're doing Gaffney now, so we're not going to do it again. But basically, he began a big spree killing in 2009. The first person was a prominent peach farmer from western Cherokee County, and he killed him, and he killed an 83-year-old woman and her 50-year-old daughter. The two were found bound and shot to death in the old woman's home on July 1st. Then on July 2nd of 2009, he killed 46-year-old Steven Tyler. He killed Steven Tyler.
Aerosmith is no more.
Joe Perry escaped out the back door. It was a very close call. What the fuck? He was shot and killed in his appliance store.
Oh, no.
And his teenage daughter, Abby, was critically wounded and died of her injuries days later.
This guy, why did he do this?
And then people were looking for him.
Yeah.
He was at large until July 6th. So days go by. It was a national story, and police responded to an emergency call of a burglary in progress, and they ended up shooting him there. It was him, and they ended up shooting him to death and did the ballistic tests and found out that he was the guy shooting everybody.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was crazy. This is the town, like I said, where Frank Underwood is from. Also, Sidney Rice, the wide receiver, and Andie MacDowell, the woman who's never moved her mouth in 35 years of acting.
That's true.
Yeah.
She loves pie.
She just talks like this. I've seen her be in movies where she is literally, her character is born and raised in New York City, and she's like, "Hi, y'all." Like,
yeah.
No.
Right.
So this accent, no matter how much training you have, no matter how many voice coaches and everything else, and even if it's for major motion pictures, you cannot lose this accent.
And you can't teach lip movement, apparently.
No. Just, hi. How you doing? So
that is the woman from Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Didn't move her mouth the whole time there either.
But I understood it there in Philly or wherever.
Yeah, well, there she's
frozen.
Her character's like from the South too. There, but I've seen movies where literally she's like, "I was born and raised in New York City." And you're like, "No, you weren't. Fuck, are you bullshitting, lady?" Shit out of here. So I have some
protection program.
Yeah, what the fuck? I have some reviews of this town here. Generally positive, I have to say, but all very similar. It just depends on your opinion of that. Here's a 2-star one. This is the worst one I found on the site here. It says, overall, the city of Gaffney is very affordable, but I would not want my children to attend the public school system. I'm a substitute teacher for a Cherokee County school district, and the students seem behind. Also, there really isn't anything to do for young married couples that do not have children. Also, the local restaurants are terrible. Mm-hmm. Okay, the food quality is poor. This goes for the local grocery stores as well. Besides peaches, I think it's just trying to drive you toward peaches. That's why. You try peaches? Because
she has the attitude of a substitute teacher.
Yeah.
She hates everything.
Yeah, she hates it all. Yeah, and your kid. I know the pork chops ain't great, but we should all have our peach pie. That's what we're trying to push now.
And your kid's a dummy.
Here's a 3-star one. I grew up in Gaffney, so I'm a little prejudiced. Probably. Yeah. You know what? You probably are. That's the first fucking...
Nailed it.
That's the first line. We should just leave it at that. So I'm a little prejudiced. They go on, though.
Yeah.
Whether I'm prejudiced for good or bad, I'm not sure. Gaffney has its charms, that's for certain. It's a small southern town with various neighborhoods and a relatively diverse population. Okay. Here's one. I moved here 3 years ago, and I like how it's a small, nice town and there are many stores near you. I don't like that the past few days there's been a couple shootings going around near me. That's what I'd like to see change. Well, yeah, shootings in the streets are...
When did they post that?
That was 10 months ago.
Oh, okay.
10 months ago.
Around the time that...
2009. Here's 3 stars. Very small town with little entertainment opportunities. Safety is great during the day, but gets much worse at night.
That's everywhere.
Okay, yeah, that's when it's dark out.
You mean when the sun goes down?
Yeah,
when people can't see the crime being committed?
Weird,
they do more
right?
of them?
It's strange. It's
bizarre.
It's bizarre, very bizarre. It's overall an okay place to raise a family, but has lots of small town issues. In quotes, I don't know. And here's another one, 3 stars, last one. Gaffney is a place of simplicity and overall mundane life. As with all small towns, most people here are either related or known to one another. It's hard for small businesses to take off here, as corporations have sunk their claws in, and we don't have a very supportive city council. So, small town, probably.
What do you want the city council to do?
That's to block chains from being like they do in like Vermont.
Yeah,
towns in like Vermont and New Hampshire block they block Walmarts and chain restaurants from coming in. Yeah,
they're not allowed to.
No, there's a ton of towns in Vermont where chains are not allowed in there.
Really?
It's all mom and pop. There's no McDonald's there. There's no any of that shit. It's
I love that.
Yeah, it's fucking pretty cool.
Oh, Jesus.
It's all local people selling each other shit. It's kind of nice.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's kind of good. But
fuck Walmart.
It's not supported politically by everybody, especially people who take large political contributions from giant chain fucking places like
also,
that.
some places like to keep the prices low, and when they like to do that and pay nothing for something that they think is valuable, then they love Walmart.
Still want Taco Bell.
Yeah.
So
a la menu.
Yeah, people in this town, 12,756 at the moment, down 3% since 1990. So not too bad there. A few more males or females than males, no big deal. Median age is 36.8, which is pretty close to average. Lower married population than normal. It's less than 40%, normally about 50-50. Otherwise, though, it's kind of single with children. There's more of those. There's about 27% are single with children. Otherwise, not really that different. Just kind of average. Race of this town, though, 56.2% white, which is almost average. Yeah, I know what you mean. That it's not 99%.
Right.
Yeah, it's got a little diversity.
Feels low.
Yeah, 61.5 is the average, so close to that. 37.5% black, normally 12.3, so it's 3 times the amount there of black people. 0.9% Asian, though. Not a lot of Asian people there, and 2.2% Hispanic. So it's pretty black and white. It's a southern town. Yeah. It makes sense. 63% religious here.
Oh,
they like their fucking God down there, boy. And I'll give you one guess as to the leading religion.
Baptist.
46.1% Baptist. Good
Jesus.
Lord, Baptists are the Catholics of the South, and then some of the South. Wow, not a lot of anything else. A couple of Pentecostals, a Methodist here or there. 1.1% Mormon.
Okay.
That's interesting for South Carolina. 0.0% Jewish. And 0.0% Muslim as well. Cherokee County here, last election, 28% Democrat, 70% Republican.
Oh.
So it's pretty one-sided on the.
It's a religious conservative town.
That's where a lot of Baptists and things like that. So unemployment rate is about average here. One thing that isn't average is median household income. That is not great, as we'll talk about. Rest of the country, it is $57,652 right now. Here it is $30,058.
Oh boy,
it's a little more than half. That's not great for that. 30% of the people here make under $15,000 a year.
I don't get it.
That's crazy. So it's not a affluent place.
Oh my goodness.
24% of the jobs here are manufacturing jobs, which are tenuous and can pay well and can pay shitty, and sometimes are there and sometimes go away. So that's the economy goes up and down here. Cost of living, though, 100 being regular, average, par. Here it's 71, so not too bad. But the low thing is housing. Housing is a 31 out of 100. Median home cost $72,900. Yeah.
What must that look like?
You want to find out?
I do.
Well, guess what we have? The Gaffney, South Carolina Real Estate Report. Your average 2-bedroom rental here, I found, is $702.
No.
And I don't want that either.
On $15,000? No.
That's brutal, right?
Forever.
You can't afford that.
Forever dead.
You are. That's pretty much what you make a month.
You're living to pay for your roof or working.
It's brutal. I found a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,232 square foot. It's not a condo. It's a little individual house with a little yard. Cute little house. $19,500. For a piece of property that has a roof on it, that's incredible. $19,000.
Why
it's
rent
ridiculous.
with that?
That's what I mean. That's less than a used car.
Yeah.
You could, like a 3-year-old Toyota Corolla will cost you more than that. That's crazy. I found a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,378 square foot, decent, nice little starter family house, $65,000. Not bad. And we're not talking, it's not all updated with new backsplash and shit, but $65,000 for a house you could live in with a family is not bad.
I'm trying to pay for that in my head with $15,000 a year.
That's brutal. Then you want to stretch out. You've done well for yourself. You want to relax a little bit. I found a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,396 square feet, but it's nice. It's big. It's brick.
Yeah.
It's like a big, beautiful, on 3.5 acres as well of nice yard.
Everybody that makes $15,000 a month or a year is egging you every week.
They'd have to. Well, if they can lob eggs that far from your giant front yard. It's $340,000 for this, though.
Wow.
And this is a hell of a nice property for $340,000.
And people hate you.
Oh, you're like you must own the textile mill or some shit. Yeah, it's the millman.
Right.
He's here. Now, things to do is, Jesus Christ, all sorts of shit revolving around peaches. They're just so fucking into peaches, man. Like, it's a peach festival and a peach parade and a peach, preserve thing. And it's all every month. There's another peach thing. And
you
then
can't eat that much peach.
No. And on their calendar, it said like this date, pick peaches. This date, pick peaches. It's like that's all they do there. It's weird.
It's not even a good fruit.
I like peaches.
It's not. I mean, I
love peaches.
I like them where I'll eat them, but I'm not going to fucking go search
I'm not
for
obsessed with
them.
them. Like, I don't need everything to be peach.
I maybe eat one thing a year.
Those damn peach rings are delicious.
Oh yeah, I can see that. The dried out ones.
Yeah, and the
gummy ones. That's not a peach.
Well, it tastes just like a peach, and I like a peach itself too. Peach flavoring.
I love peaches. You know, gummy peach rings.
I have peaches in my fridge right now. God damn it!
I love peaches. The THC in them, they're great. James, that's not peaches.
Now, if you're going to put THC in a peach-flavored candy,
I like weed gummies that are shaped like...
a lot of those.
Why is this a peach?
I'm going to eat a lot of those. I have some mango ones right now that are okay, but the mango, there's something about it. That peach would really mask the flavor nicely.
It's more of a round... it's a smoother flavor.
It's a smoother, creamier flavor, and I feel like that would be better with the weed.
Mango's got a little bit of bite to it with like a little bit of a tang.
Yeah, that mixed with the weed, which has a little bit of on the back of your throat too. It's like
something extra.
It's a little. I'm not sure about it, but if I could get some peach weed gummies, everybody, I'd be a happy man.
You were singing the songs of peaches, and then your example of that,
Jimmy. Without these peaches,
gummy.
Without these peaches, there would be no peach flavored gummies. See what I mean? These peaches begat my gummies. Therefore, since we're in a small Baptist town, let's begat things, Jimmy.
I love steaks. That's why I eat hamburgers.
That's what I'm saying. See? Without that, you don't have that. But it'd be silly to not like a steak if you liked a hamburger.
True.
If you like a hamburger, you're going to fucking love a steak.
I see your logic. It just feels weird.
You're going to love it. So we have the South Carolina Peach Festival, which starts in Gaffney, quote, as a salute to the peach industry.
Oh, yeah. It needs a salute.
It's a salute. With a kickoff at the City of Gaffney Town Hall, featuring a live band on Thursday. I'm very mad that they don't tell us. It must not be of any... There's nobody of any note, I guess. It's a live band. Could be the high school fucking band. We don't know.
There are peach puns in the titles of their bands, for sure.
There are, too, in a lot of these. And then that's on Thursday. Friday, we'll have a mud bog at Lake Welchel. So look for that.
They drain the lake and drive your truck through it.
Who knows? It's probably not. You don't even need to drain it. It's just a mud pit.
It's just the marsh corner.
And in the rainy months, there's a little water in there. But then once all the skeeters breed, it just dries right up. And then we bog in it then.
Drive your fucking lifted El Camino through it.
Oh, that's the other thing, too. They're spraying for mosquitoes. There's like a thing on the website, on the town site that says, we'll be coming through spraying for mosquitoes the next few days.
Stay indoors.
So literally, it's like the 50s. They have like a mosquito poison truck going down the street in this town.
They're fogging the streets.
That's how many mosquitoes are here.
Gross.
This place sounds fucking terrible.
It does.
So Friday, though, a lot of people love fucking South Carolina. It's weird. So Saturday will be the road race, the pageant. It's a Southern festival, so they have to have a fucking pageant.
Of course.
I'm sure to judge children by their looks. That's what they seem to love that shit.
They ever get guest judges?
No, yeah. Where's there's a comedian that would be very interested in that I know of. Very, very interested.
Listen, comedy's going to dry up for some people.
Some people, especially ones who have been messaging teenage girls. So, also, downtown events include a barbecue cook-off. Yeah. It's a fucking throwdown, Jimmy.
Oh, boy.
It is a goddamn...
Bring your ribs, I'll bring mine.
South Carolina pig picking fucking... That's the pig picking is what they call it.
Really?
Yeah. In North Carolina, my dad lived there. He was like, we're going to a pig picking. I said, what the fuck is that? Do we pick out a pig? Right. I don't want a pig. And then he told me they make a pig and then they get pulled pork and they squirt that. It's fucking delicious.
Yeah, I'm sure
they squirt that fucking vinegary barbecue sauce.
Yeah,
the sandwiches are
I'm sure they're great.
Pulled pork.
I've been to luau's and shit like that, and when the pig's there, it's a bit on the weird side.
But about 5 minutes after we ate, we heard several people say the N-word, and we left. Literally, we left. We looked around and we were like, what the fuck?
We just ate with them.
And my dad was like, I know. He was looking at us going, dude, it's just... He had just moved down there for work, so he was like, I got transferred from my... Right. He was like, look, basically, I got to deal with this shit every day. And I'm like, well, yeah, but it'd be worse if... Okay. And then I looked around and I'm like, yeah, there are no black people here. What is happening?
That's why.
It was fucking weird, dude. It was a weird thing. And there's plenty of black people in South Carolina. So I was like, why are none of them here? And why are we... I don't like it here. I'm going home.
Your dad's HR department only talks to so many people.
Yeah, my dad's like, I know. It's not good. He was very not okay with it. So also arts and crafts, carnivals, a car show, and then new talent night will be Thursday, which sounds...
It does sound creepy.
Very creepy. Very creepy. It's hosted by Crystalia at the Fullerton Auditorium of Limestone College. He's going to do a long set that night for the new talent out there. So, and then they'll end the festival on Saturday with the dirt race.
Hell yeah.
At the Cherokee Speedway.
That I'll watch.
That you'll watch.
That's fun.
That's right. Also, they need to reinstate a concert series called Shindig at the Cabin.
Oh, no.
That's last I saw it seemed to have stopped in 2009. They were very enthusiastic about it for a couple years. All these concerts of these bands with fucking peach puns in the title and everything, and they don't do that.
There was an event, I'm sure of it.
I'm sure.
No more of this shit.
Done. So, crime rate in this town, what we're interested in, property crimes almost double.
Oh,
so that's
dangerous.
Weird for a tiny town in the middle of nowhere. Violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and assault, the Mount Rushmore of crime, is about 50% high as well. So for some reason, this town it's
scary.
It's got some dangerous shit going on. So that said, let's go back and talk about a murder.
Okay.
Of a this is insanity, this whole murder. We got to go back in time a little bit here. We're going to get into the time machine and go back to the 60s.
Shit, yeah.
Let's go back to 1967, Jimmy. The summer of love.
Yeah.
Let's go back to, by the way, that is nowhere near here. You couldn't get any more opposite geographically or spiritually, culturally or just anything than that summer of love and this one. It is way different in Gaffney, South Carolina. One. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about a couple of people here.
Okay.
Let's talk about a guy, first of all. A guy named Roger Zane Dedmond is his name. Now, Roger, he's born in 1940. Roger is, and he's the oldest of three children. He's born in North Carolina, Cliffside, North Carolina, to be exact. His father's name is Bobo, which is
that makes sense.
An interesting. He worked as a barber in this town of Cliffside, which there was a lot of textile mills around here. So, as
somebody couldn't pronounce barber, and that's Bobo.
That's Bobo. That there's Bobo. So he the Bobo. You get your hair cut over there. It's all right. Now, this is my grandfather, after World War II, opened a barber shop in New York, and this is, it was a smart thing to do back then, because it was like those people, times were tough where they were from, especially my grandfather's parents are immigrants, and they were supposed to do something that's sturdy.
Sure.
So people always need their hair cut. That's always one. So that's
something they keep doing, is growing more of that shit.
It's never going to stop. Right. They're going to always need shaves and haircuts, especially back then. Men had to keep themselves very, spiffy, had to get a haircut every couple weeks.
That's a great point.
Clean cut and shit.
Every picture that you see, their hair is perfect.
Because they get haircuts all the time. They all have standing appointments every second Friday. Al comes in at 11 a.m. on his lunch break and gets a haircut.
Somebody could be jogging. You catch a picture of somebody jogging. Their hair looks amazing.
Oh yeah, my grandfather had it was all set appointments from, they were all always set. This guy, they all come in every week, every 2 weeks, and that's the whole thing he had going on. But his father here, Bobo, was the barber there. Now Roger was a happy kid, had a happy childhood. He said that there was like dogs and horses always on his property. He said, "Daddy always had horses," was his quote. Yeah. And he went to school like every other kid, basically. He said, "I really didn't like it until I was ready to graduate." So he didn't get into it until the very end when it was too late. Yeah. Kind of, I don't know if he was a late bloomer or what, but he was into sports, so I don't know. He said that, quote, "I played tackle on a 6-man football team. It was the worst position. I got creamed." So apparently he was the
6-man.
Shit. Yeah, they used to have 6-man football squads.
Is that 2 dudes on the line? What is that?
I think that's a quarterback, lineman, and some other people. It's no blocking, basically. There's a guy that snaps the ball and one blocker type thing. Kind of like how you play in elementary school. Okay. Like if you don't have enough people, there's no lineman, basically. Because what are you're going to play fucking left guard and block this guy? No, that's not going to happen.
But he was a tackle, he said.
He was a tackle, so he's probably the guy, I don't know. That would be the center.
Tackle/guard?
I don't know. He said it was the worst position and he got creamed.
Jesus.
You don't see a lot of 6-man football now. They have 7-on-7 camps for quarterbacks and shit where they'll have like a couple linemen. It's mostly just receivers. Yeah. It's like 1 lineman, 5 receivers, and a fucking quarterback to get their timing down. But he said that he basically, after high school, he kind of kicked around a little bit, had some odd jobs here and there, and this is like late 50s in rural North Carolina. Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely, these people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked, God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. Yeah. But why don't you focus also, you look at like green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well. Right. And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you all sorts of good stuff about Chime. That's what I'm talking about. There's so many extra fees you have to pay in life. Everything. You go to the airline, there's an extra ticket on that. There's extra fee on every fees and fees, hotels, fees, all this type of stuff. We're trying to make progress, and the next thing you know, here comes another fee coming at you, and it's more money than you expected, and your whole math is thrown off, and it's awful. Learn more at chime.com/smalltownmurder. Chime is great with that stuff. I mean, you can't beat if your things are a little tight, especially around the holidays or after the holidays. You need that money a couple days early, or you go grocery shopping, you got a car payment due, there's so many things that don't cross over exactly how you want them to cross over. Make progress toward a better financial future with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/smalltownmurder. That's chime.com/smalltownmurder. Feels like progress. Banking services and debit cards provided by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs.
And now back to the show.
He did about a year and a half of college. He wanted to be a CPA. Wanted to be an accountant, which is weird for someone who doesn't like school.
Right.
Strange.
Maybe just like that one thing, that math.
Maybe math. He could have been just into math, but eventually he couldn't afford to keep going to college. So he drops out after a year and a half.
That's a burner.
That sucks. Yeah, that sucks for him. And then so he ended up working in the textile mills, of course. Just does that for a few years, kicks around. And I mean, that's the start of a lot of people around here. That's going to be their life.
Yeah.
I mean,
from there you just bounce from job to job.
You do some odd jobs. You work at that textile mill. Hope it stays open.
As long as it can.
As long as it can. Maybe you can retire there eventually and get a pension or something. I mean, that's what these guys are trying to do.
And a lot of people don't really even have that forethought of hopefully this lasts forever. It's just they see this existing. They're like, this is good. I'll do this forever.
Like people live now. It's the same way.
They don't realize that shit goes away. Time's changing. Technology. And
absolutely. Yeah. Ask anybody who's worked for who's like started in the 60s working for GM or something, building autos.
Ask the people of Detroit about all that shit.
They watch that shit change for the next 40 years. Right. It's a totally different industry and different business, different employment. So, he ended up from the mills. I think he probably just wanted to get the hell out of here. He ends up joining the Army in 1963. Because back then, that was a way to get the hell out of somewhere.
At that time, that's a bad time to go.
Yeah, but foresight, you wouldn't know that in 63.
That's a good point.
63, Vietnam was a blip. Yeah. It was, we sent some advisors over. Yeah. No one gave it a second fucking thought. It wasn't a big deal.
Kennedy's still president at this point, right?
63 is when he got killed. Yeah. So, and up until November. So, I mean, this isn't, it's not a thing that's like, we're going to have, this has been a big escalation and you're definitely going to the front lines. There was no front line to go to, really, at that point. There was fighting, but it wasn't like on TV every night and all that shit. So he ends up going into the Army, does some time in the Army, and they send him down to Fort Gordon in Georgia for basic training. And he was supposed to go to Germany to be a radio operator. Yeah. That's his thing. He's going to be shipped off to go to Germany as a radio operator. And it's at that point, right then, that he announces his engagement to a woman.
Okay.
So he's very, very excited. In 1963, he's about 23. This woman's 30. Okay. She's a little bit older.
All right.
And she's already got 2 kids.
All right.
So
she puts out.
Or at least 2, possibly 3 kids. Okay. We're not sure. So but for back then in the South, in a conservative place, that was considered like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. Why do you want some, Why do you want somebody that's used up? Some used up older. Yeah, 30. Good God. Good she Lord. Might as well be fucking out to pasture now with her kids and her. She'll be in a home any day now.
Her AARP bride?
Yeah, Jesus Christ. That's people kind of broke his balls. It's a woman named Lucille Hyatt. She's from Forest City, North Carolina, and they announced their engagement. His parents were not okay with it.
Really?
Yeah.
His parents hated it?
Her parents were not cool at all.
Wow.
Well, 7 years older, has 3 kids from a previous marriage, and they're like...
Sounds hot to me.
Well, yeah, but that's you don't live in 1963 South Carolina.
I guess I'm mad progressive in comparison.
You don't live in 1963 South Carolina. That's what all it is. You just live in the modern day when it's like, who cares? But back then, that was like an embarrassment. How are we going to take her to the church? How are we going to explain those children? They're not yours. They're bastards, and everyone's going to talk, and that's how they thought back then. Everyone's going to talk, and they're going to whisper, and you can't marry
that kid's
woman.
7. You're 23. It was born when you were 13.
Jesus Christ. That's the way they look at it.
Do the same math.
Yeah. See. So they're they don't like it, basically. They don't like it. They had in mind that he was going to marry some, girl he went to high school with or something, the same age, and they're going to have kids together and do all that. And that's not really what's going to happen here. So the wedding ends up happening in 1964. Roger has another year ahead of him in the Army, but he comes home on a 30-day leave, marries Lucille. Okay. Her name's Annie Lucille Hyatt, but she goes by Lucille, by the way. It's her middle name, but that's what she goes by. Finally, 1965, April 26th, 1965, he's discharged from the Army, and right then, when he comes home, that's when his marriage really starts to hit the rocks.
Really?
And they haven't really spent any time together. He was in the Army when they met, and he was in training, and then he was shipped off to Germany. Right. And so he comes home, they get married, he leaves again. Yeah. It was all very exciting and everything.
Before, when you were just sending a check and I didn't have to deal with it.
Well, not only that, just when they were hanging out and it was fun for him, and they didn't have to live with each other in daily life and argue about bills and shit.
He's 24, she's 31. There's a guy
and 3 kids.
Yeah. A guy can be 31 and date younger, but girls that are older and date younger, they can do it, obviously. Yeah. But the difference in maturity wise,
that's the difference.
Guys got to be man.
The reason why guys date women that are younger is because they're equal maturity wise. That's what it is.
Maturity wise.
So if you flip it, then we're 12 and you're 45, and mentally that doesn't work. You know what I mean? And that's where we're at here, probably. But
30 and 40 works out because
that's fine.
It's the same.
Yeah, you're going to meet in the middle there. We're going to be 5 years less, and they're going to be 5 years more. So that's the way it is. So we did those personal ads.
Yeah.
Every man was looking for the year younger than him or younger for 10 years.
Way younger.
Every woman was looking for the year older than her and then 10 years older. It was the funniest fucking thing, what they're looking for. So he says that when he gets out, though, things start to go awry. Mm-hmm. He says, quote, "When I came out of the service, things weren't what they should have been. Lucille didn't want me to work at Pittsburgh Plate Glass Company because the shifts were always rotated, and she wanted me to have regular hours."
Yeah, I can see it.
Which is tough. That's just tough when you have you start working at a new job. And there's a lot of jobs like that. If you work at a hospital, you got to start on the night shift.
You can't just come in and demand your perfect schedule.
I'm working first shift.
You earn that shit.
Yeah. So he says Lucille liked to go out a lot. I like to go out once in a while too, but not every night. Not when I had to work the next day.
Yeah.
Which for her, I mean, she's got 3 goddamn kids too, so she's got energy. Yeah. She can go out every night and still has these kids to take care of. Where he doesn't quite have the energy that Lucille has. He said that, quote, "She got in the habit of going down to the Highway 18 truck stop while I was in the service. She kept it up while I was working after I came home." That just sounds bad. Even if it's just to get a fucking milkshake.
Yeah.
She got in the habit of going down to the Highway 18 truck stop while I was at the service. Sounds like she's fucking blowing guys in their big rigs, doesn't it?
Doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good at all.
And then saying she continued doing it when I came home.
And then afterwards I said, "You're going to stop sucking trucker dick, right?" And she said, "Absolutely not.
It's a habit now.
I will not." I've gotten in the habit. They know I'm known all up and down Highway 18. Are you kidding me? So, no, that's not what happened. But she said, quote, or he said, quote, "It got really bad. Me and her had trouble. She had sworn out 2 arrest warrants on me. I slapped her one time. I didn't mean to hurt her, but Lucille, when she got mad, got hysterical. She lit into me with a bottle. That's when I made the biggest mistake of my life. I pled guilty." So, apparently she tried to hit him with a bottle and he slapped her. Mm-hmm. And so that's how, just sounds like a real drunken mess of really 2 people that don't need to be together. Yeah. He says then Recorder's Court wouldn't let her drop the charge. I guess it was like an assault charge. Lucille didn't want to testify about it, so the judge told me to plead guilty and he would just assess court costs, no fine. But it got on my record. Mm-hmm. So now he's got that on his record.
Yeah, that's how that works when you pleed guilty, you dummy.
That's the thing.
He said he was just going to charge me court costs, but he put it on my record too.
Oh, jeez, it just wouldn't come off.
There was paperwork and all that
Jesus,
shit.
Oh, they wrote it down. They wrote it down.
Those bastards. Stop writing.
Stop. Oh, shit. Y'all write everything at the court down? So, yeah, he says that she tried to get it revoked, but they wouldn't drop the charge. So there's that. Now, early 1967, he gets a new job. And he goes to work at $2.37 an hour.
That's a great deal.
Which back then is about $18 to $19 an hour in today's money, which isn't bad. That's decent money. And he said in the production services department of a textile mill called Fiber Industries, which was, they lived in Spindale, North Carolina, and this was right near there. So he thought, everything's going to be better now. I got day shift. I got good money. Like, now we're going to be happy. And he said nothing changed. They're the same people still. Just now they're not going to fight about that thing. Now they'll fight about something else. So it doesn't matter. So, they're at this point, they're fighting a lot. But they also in 66, they have a son together. So that's Roger Jr.
Oh boy.
As we know from Crime and Sports. Never good.
What part of this legacy do you need to continue?
He's going to carry it on.
Good Lord.
So now there's 4 kids around, aging from 1 to 13.
Wow.
There's 4 kids, 1 to 13. 3 of them are hers. I believe it's 3 daughters she has, and then they have a son. Her daughters, 2 of them are named Janet and Sandra. I don't know the third. Now, one particular night here in May of 1967, May 20th, 1967 to be exact, they go out to party, the 2 of them, Roger and Lucille. They go out to have a good time and tie one on. Okay. Now, they accomplish one of those 2 things. I'll let you know, let you guess which one. They tied one on, but didn't have a good time.
All right.
So they go around from bar to, they're just bar hopping, going, having a couple drinks here, a couple drinks there. Basically, everywhere they go, they're fighting. Everywhere they go, they have a drink, they get in a fight, and they end up leaving. So there's like 5 different bars of people that said, they showed up, had a couple drinks, they both seemed drunk, they fought, and they left. That's what's happening tonight.
One fought, they fought, one left, the other followed, they wound up somewhere else.
And then
that's what happens.
Rinse and repeat. Yeah. That's exactly what the fuck happens.
I've been married, I know how it works.
You know how it goes. So, I mean, they're fighting. They're doing this all night, too. You think they would go home after 2 or 3 bars, but they go to like 6 bars. I mean, they're going bar to bar to bar doing this shit.
I wonder if it was like one acting up and making the other one feel bad, and then they fight, or if it's like they rotate back and forth between who's the asshole.
It's the 2 of them, man. I think it feels like it's the 2 of them. They just don't get along, is what it seems like at all. So, but they're going to stay together and get drunk, which is a great thing to do with people you don't get along with. So this particular night, they had gotten into an argument, apparently, at a bar about, he thought she was talking to some other guy. Some shit. They got in a big drunken argument. They're both shit hammered, by the way.
Of course.
They got like very noticeably stumbling drunk. They got in a big argument and she slapped him and scratched him. And this was seen by other people. She was like attacking his face and he was pushing her off, and bad times here. Just in a drunken, the 2 of them.
I can't hate that one.
It's just, the whole thing's gross.
Good Lord. When you've been in that relationship, you know what that feels like.
Yeah.
When one person is violent or the other one, it doesn't matter. No. But the point is that discomfort that you feel and knowing that other people are watching this.
Yeah, they don't even, they've gotten to the point where they don't even care anymore. They're just going to fight. They're going to fight it out in public.
I don't know how after the first one you go, I'll forgive you. Because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's never stopping.
Yeah. And from all accounts, this is like, she would get mad. The violence would come from both sides, and not that there's like any comparison, but I mean, she would attack him, he would attack her. They were shit faced most of the time, so there was no logic to it, and it was a very much a matter of 2 people who were drinking too much and not getting along. So it's very messy, this whole thing. And you mix 4 kids into this mess. It's rough.
There's too much baggage in this.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So they leave finally. It's about 12:30. They're cruising through, shit faced drunk driving. Like people did in the 60s. Right. And there's conflicting accounts of who was driving. There's conflicting accounts whether Roger or Lucille was driving. We're not sure which one, but we do know that they end up at a restaurant, an all-night restaurant that you can get takeout sandwiches from.
Okay.
So they stop here, and they're going to, Roger wants to get some sandwiches. So by all accounts, basically they pull into the parking lot. They fight some more in the car, argue, fucking, she's slapping at him, shit like that. That's seen by other people. Eventually, he gets out of the car and goes in to get sandwiches. Shit-faced. So, he gets his sandwiches, comes out, and he's probably like, this is going to be real, this is going to be great. Comes out, and she's not in the car anymore. Car's there, but she's not there. Keys are in the car. She's not in the car. So he's like, what the fuck? He figures at this point that obviously she was pissed off at him and they're fighting, so they probably ran into some friends of theirs. Because basically, the restaurant's near a bunch of bars, and it's people that you know from the bar stop at the restaurant after. Everybody knows each other. It's a small town, so it's one of those things. He said she probably found a carload of friends and hopped in the car and got a ride home to not deal with my stupid ass. So, you know what? Fucking whatever.
Well,
so
recognized a big rig rolling down the road and
hi.
Lift to the truck stop.
You never know. So he said, she was mad at me, so what am I going to do here? So he basically waited there for a little bit and then said, I don't think she's here. First he waited, like, I don't know, maybe she walked over there or something.
Yeah.
She never came back, so he said, fuck it, and he just drove home. Shit-faced.
Okay. That's an interesting solution.
There's no cell phones or anything. She's not there, and he assumed that she probably got in the car with some friends. So what's he going to sleep there and wait for her? She probably left and went home is what he's thinking. Okay. So he's like, I'll meet her home. That's the point. She's got 4 kids. It's not like, where's she going to go? Yeah. So he drives home alone, and this is 45 minutes away. Hammered, shit-faced drunk he's driving. Which is, this used to be a normal thing that people did, which was crazy.
He drove 45 minutes?
45 minutes.
From the sandwich shop?
Yes, to Spindale, North Carolina, where they resided.
Holy
shit-faced drunk. And he gets home, passes out, drunk. The 13-year-old had been watching the other children the night before, so the babies are asleep and all that. So he gets home, passes out, and that's that. Next morning, though, he is awoken by a knock at the door, and it's the police. And he wakes up. He asks his stepdaughter to change the baby's diaper and take care of the baby while he deals with police and see what the hell's going on. He's looking around. He doesn't see his wife. He doesn't see Lucille. He says so. The cops come, and they inform him that, as a matter of fact, they said, have you seen your wife? And he says, no, I left her at this, she took off on me from this restaurant.
Hear me out, because you're probably not going to believe this.
Yeah, this is weird.
This is what happened.
So they tell him, strange that happened, really strange. So you don't know where she was after that? No, not at all. He says, oh, that's okay. So you don't know how she ended up raped, strangled, and left on the middle of a road, do you? Because that's where we found her. They found her. They find her in the middle of Jerusalem Road, on the center line.
Wow.
Naked and strangled and splayed, sprawled out on the center fucking line of the road.
Unbelievable.
Clearly not hidden. Yeah. This is you couldn't get more look what I did than this.
Wow.
And she had been sexually assaulted. She'd been raped and strangled and left there. And so they tell him that, and he's he says, holy shit, what the fuck? So Roger says, quote, they asked me if I'd accompany them to the place where they found Lucille, and I told them I'd do anything to help them find the killer, which is, that's good. Yeah. That's what OJ said, too. So basically, they do that. There was a woman they found who had copied down his license plate number between Gaffney and Spindale when he drove home, saying that he was all over the road swerving. She wrote down his license plate, went home and called the cops and gave the plate number to a Spindale policeman. And that's
so they documented that shit.
So they knew that he was
and at what time
driving around. That was about 12:15 p.m. that night. And then basically he says, Roger tells the police that he was at the restaurant. He was there between 1:30 and 2 a.m., which is an hour after he was seen driving home. Yeah. So there's a discrepancy in.
There's also a thing about alcohol where you don't know shit about what time.
Times really meld together when you're like shit-faced, stumbling drunk. So,
and that's never more apparent than when last call sneaks up on you and you go, it's like midnight. Holy shit!
Oh, what is it? 4 o'clock? Jesus Christ! So, he says they're talking to him. They go, well, would you like to let's get you take a lie detector here just to make sure that your story's straight, so we don't go on the wrong wrong way, and he takes a lie detector and he passes the lie detector. But they also, by the end of this, they basically, it's days of interrogation, not straight, but they keep doing it multiple days. And eventually they announce that they've gotten a confession out of him.
What?
That Roger says he did it. He killed his wife. He says he doesn't remember it real well because he was drunk, and he's kind of playing that card of the, well, I don't really remember, but I guess I remember choking her, like that sort of thing. But, I was so drunk that it wasn't me, really, one of those deals. So they formally charge him with murder that Monday, and he's held without bail there, and his lawyer had a hard time, or his family had a hard time finding a lawyer for him because it's a small town and lawyers wouldn't take the case.
Really?
No, because they didn't want to be associated with this. So he said, quote, but the lawyer wasn't interested. He wouldn't even come talk to me. He told me if I'd plead guilty, he'd get me a good place to serve my time. I refused, and he told me I might get the chair. So, he's like, Jesus Christ. Finally, a couple attorneys, Jonathan McCown and James Arthur, agreed to defend him, and he said he couldn't remember what had happened that night. He just couldn't remember. He just couldn't remember at all, and but the sheriff says he confessed, but now he's telling his lawyer he didn't confess, but the sheriffs are all saying that they have a detailed confession from him. So things don't look great for Roger here. He's got a drunken mess, time periods that are kind of weaning all over the place. It's not looking great for Roger at this point.
Drunken timeline with do they have a confession?
They say they do. They say they have a full confession, detailed, the whole deal. They said he described choking her, but he didn't remember certain details, but everything he remembered he told is what they say.
That'll get you the chair.
So they go to trial. He's actually charged with manslaughter. They take him for manslaughter because the fact that he was so drunk and everything, they think the jury might go that way, and they don't want to have it just be murder. He might get acquitted at that point.
Hard to prove premeditation when or intent when somebody's that fucking loaded.
Yeah, they're going to say they're drunk, they fought all the time, they got in a fight, it went too far, he killed her, he fucking left her in the road, tried to make it look like somebody left her there. Manslaughter, basically. So he says, quote, they were convinced I was guilty and they wouldn't listen when I said a lot of people saw me in Spindale at the time Lucille was supposed to be killed. I don't know whether they bothered to talk to them. I feel like I just didn't have a chance. So he feels like, the court system's against him, because it is. Yeah. That's, if you're a defendant, you're pretty fucked. Like we've said before, when they say the state of whatever versus you, there's a lot of people. It's more than you. Versus you,
Right.
So the trial opens on December 12th, 1967. And, the whole thing, they bring up all the drinking, they're fighting, tons of witnesses talking about their fighting. They bring up his assault conviction against her, which obviously looks bad. The fact that they would fight and have these big escalating fights, it's not out of the realm of imagination that one of these fights would lead to a little more than that. The prosecutor never produces a written signed confession from Roger. And back then, they didn't tape anything either.
Well, then there's no confession.
So they don't have that. But they also didn't refer to the results of the lie detector test because that wasn't admissible. But they did put up shitloads and shitloads of witnesses. One was Mike Jolly, who was the General Sessions Court solicitor, who acted as the prosecutor here. In this thing, he wasn't a witness, but he's the prosecutor. And he's the guy. Another was a guy named Officer Collins, who was the guy who took Roger to the scene that they found Lucille, and Collins gave the version of the confession. He's the guy who told the court about the confession. He says, quote, Roger stated to me that on Friday evening, May 19, his wife wanted to go to the Highway 18 restaurant. That's the old truck stop there. Oh boy. But he suggested they go somewhere else because he didn't like to go there. Seems like there's guys there that he doesn't want her around. Quote, she insisted on going and he agreed to take her. They were accompanied by Peggy Hodge of Rutherford County, who later left the place with someone else. She said later that she had several beers and shots of whiskey during that evening, that he had several beers and shots of whiskey that she saw. And then they went other places. She said sometime during the evening, Roger told his wife to enjoy the visit because it would be the last time. She was heard saying that loudly to her. Enjoy it because it's going to be the last fucking time you come here. I'm sure bitch followed or something. Quote, later, his wife became very angry and attempted to drive off and leave him, but he overtook her car and got behind the wheel. She attempted to jump out several times, but he held her. That makes sense as far as, because there was a discrepancy of who was driving when they left it seems like she left the bar driving. They showed up at the restaurant with him driving. That seems to be what witnesses say. So this is, they fought along the way and went back and forth.
And he pushed her the passenger seat.
Yeah, and he held her when she tried to get out. They decided to go to the Grill, which was the restaurant in Gaffney, South Carolina, for something to eat, but he did not recall arriving there. He didn't remember. He's drunk. So then the officer says a quarrel began, and she said she was not going to live with him anymore. She said she was going, and he said not with the baby. She cursed him, and a fight began.
Oh, boy.
So she said, fuck you, I'm taking the baby. He said, no, you're fucking not. And when you're drunk at midnight, this is not a fight to have. Bad fight to have.
This is a morning talk.
This is a morning talk that with very sober minds that you need to discuss
with a headache and lots of apologies.
Yeah, listen, okay, let's have a cup of coffee before we get into this. Then he says, Mrs. Dedman began kicking and scratching, and from this point on, his story is a little foggy. The murder part's a little foggy, which, a lot of times when people confess, they'll remember everything, and then the murder part, they're like, it just was a fly, I don't know. Like, really? You remembered the exact toll that you paid and how much that was, and the name of the toll booth guy. You remember that off his little
that
badge.
You've never been through ever.
But you don't remember, cutting a person's head clean off their body. That's just
you remember
ran away on you.
Front window of a grocery store displaying a woman dead. But you remember that.
You remember peaches are on sale,
right? But
you didn't fucking okay. So. He says, this is the officer, quote, he can't remember having a fight anywhere else but where her body was found. That's the only place he said he remembers fighting. He said he didn't remember fighting in the restaurant, in the car. All he remembers is fighting on the road. He says, quote, when he realized she was dead, he must have taken her clothes off. He remembers choking her. He isn't sure about where he hid her clothes, and they have never been found. He said he loved her so much, he wanted to hold her one more time. What
the fuck?
That was the thing there. Now, other witnesses testified about the general state of their stormy marriage, fighting about drinking. Both the Union County Sheriff Harold Lamb and Deputy Fowler both reiterated Officer Collins' version of the confession as well. They were there as well. They said, that's what we heard. Same thing. Both of them testified that Roger said he wanted to cooperate by giving a confession without a lawyer present so he could get a better deal, basically, because they told him, hey, if you cooperate, maybe we can help you. And so he said, okay, sure. That's what they're saying now. Help me if you can. Roger said that he had no chance to hire a lawyer at the time because Roger testifies too. Yeah. He says that he didn't have a chance to hire a lawyer. He didn't say he didn't want a lawyer there. He couldn't hire one. It took his family a week to find one. And he says, I didn't confess. He said, that's bullshit. I did not confess in there. I
never said any of that.
I didn't say any of that shit. Okay. And they said, well, there's 3 officers that say you did say all that shit. And he said, I didn't say any of that shit. They said, well, what the fuck did happen then when he gets on the stand? And they said, well, I'm not sure, basically.
He doesn't even remember that now.
Nope, they call
it. Oh, Jesus, this is not good, sir.
A newspaper reporter called his version, quote, murky and full of holes.
Oh, boy.
So that's not good. All he could give was a sketchy outline, and he couldn't supply details either. He said he admitted drinking. He knew. He said, we drank and we fought. That happened. I remember that. He said, but the last time I saw my wife was about midnight when I left her in the car outside the grill place in Gaffney to get sandwiches. I returned with some sandwiches and she was gone. I assumed she drove off with some friends. I went home. I went to sleep. Woke up to a door knocking and told my stepdaughter to change the baby, and now here I am.
Oh, boy.
That's all I remember.
Oh, boy.
That's it. So, it's not good. It's a very short trial, too. It's pretty much all those people and him going, I didn't do it.
And they're like, yeah, you did. Open and close in terms of the public.
It's not good.
No.
So, he said he's drunk and he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing and the whole deal. So the verdict comes in. It's 10 men, 2 women on the jury, and it takes them less than 4 hours to come back and say guilty of manslaughter. And Roger's going to go to the pen here. And so he's in for sentencing. now, and sentencing down there is rough too because where you go is a big deal. And he gets sentenced.
Prison?
Which chain gang too,
Jesus.
things like that. He gets sent to you can get sent to a work camp,
labor camps,
which is back then it was still they'd give you 50 years hard labor, shit like that. He gets sentenced to, you sir may fuck off 18 years in a prison, and they send him to Union County where she was found, and he is sent to a chain gang in a prison camp.
Union County, where there are no unions.
No, and they hate the union. So it's very bad stuff. So he's sent to a prison camp chain gang in the South Carolina Sun. Bad stuff. Real bad. So I mean, it's interesting though. I mean, it's a kind of an open and shut kind of a silly little thing here, and it really would be an open and shut silly little thing here if January 29th, 1968, things get a little bit weird. A young girl named Nancy Christine Reinhardt, goes by Tina. She is 14 years old. And January 29th, 1968, she leaves her home on Montgomery Street, headed for the Top Dollar store. So her mother works there at the Top Dollar store, and she's got a new outfit on, and she wants to go show her mom her outfit. So she leaves to go walk to the Top Dollar, and never comes home. Never arrives at Top Dollar and never comes back home.
Oh, no.
Disappears. Okay. Then, very soon after that, a Mrs. Nancy Carol Paris, who's 20 years old, went out to walk her tiny white poodle and disappeared.
Oh, boy.
Never to return again here. So, well, we'll find out about this. Monroe Paris, who's her husband and has a fucking cool name. His name is Monroe Paris. That's an awesome name. I'm sorry. That is like, that's a fucking like a movie star.
It's either that or a gay porn actor.
But a good one.
He gets a lot of work.
That's what I mean. Ladies and gentlemen, Monroe Paris. So you're like, fuck, there he is. Look at the cock on that guy. Tie it in a knot. I want to see it.
Or an unbelievable drag queen, too. That's a great name.
Monroe Paris. Someone used Monroe Paris as a stage name because it's fantastic. So
there's going to be some spots opening at the Comedy Store. Use it there.
Use it there. Fuck it. Yeah. At least one we know of. Because, I mean, it was right here. So we have, she was missing 20, and then the other one, Tina Reinhardt's only 14. I mean, that's barely old enough for Crystalia to hit on. Like, that's so, it's very...
Smidge too old.
It's just right there. It's on the cusp. She's just about to age herself out. So now he's the husband of Nancy Paris, and he said that his wife left home with his parents, or they live with his parents, and she left the house about 3:30 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon to walk her dog, a white poodle that he gave her as a Christmas present the month before. So I mean, can't get more innocent than that. She had no set pattern in walking the dog. She just walked wherever. It wasn't like she did the same route every day and you could track her.
It's new.
Or something. That's what I mean. She was trying to probably figure out a route. She's seen walking the dog about 3 blocks from her house at 3:45 p.m. At a cafe where she cashed a $10 bill and made a telephone call. Okay, that was that.
Got change. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, got change and
what the fuck?
Made a call. Yeah, cashed it. That's it. So she ended up, now Monroe Paris said he was at a downtown pool hall about at this time and had gone next door to get something to eat. And when he returned to the room, he was told that he was called on the phone by a girl. So,
you're telling me that Monroe Paris goes to the pool hall and gets phone calls? He's the coolest motherfucker on earth.
Call. Monroe Paris. You got to call. It's a girl. I don't know.
He's the coolest motherfucker.
He's cool, man. He's shooting pool. Got chicks calling him. But they assumed the phone call she made there was probably to her husband because it's the same time she was seen making a phone call is the same time he got a phone call from a girl at the pool hall. And he doesn't know any other girls, really. He's married and they're young and they're not like fucking around yet. So, you know, everything's still good in their relationship.
They haven't had a bar time argument yet.
They still don't scratch and fight at 3 a.m. So
haven't yelled at each other under neon lighting.
Yeah. So she never came home.
Yeah.
He got home. He searched around all the blocks around the house looking for her, trying to find her somewhere. Thought maybe she fell down and broke her leg or something in a ditch, and she's laying there with the dog trying to whatever. He said, who the fuck knows? So he's looking around.
She's there yelling to a puppy,
go
get help.
Stop biting me. Why are little poodles so dumb? I know poodles are smart.
I don't know how to pet you.
I don't know how to do it. So he couldn't find her at all. Didn't find a trace of her. Didn't find the dog. Didn't find either one. Nothing. Not even a pile of turds to match back to the poodle. Nothing here.
Not even French shit.
Not even French shit. A coily little pile of it. It'd be a coily little pile of it.
Perfect.
It's my coiled shit. I'll make it nice for you. So he said that Nancy would never have accepted a ride with anyone that wasn't. She was smarter than that and just scared of strangers like a normal person. He said that his wife wouldn't even accept a ride with his brother-in-law or friends. So
come on, he said to pick you up. No, he didn't.
No, literally, she's doesn't want to ride in the car with strange people. Even if they're related to her, technically. She's not into it.
She's got a shitty Thanksgiving. She just hates everybody.
She probably had something happen to her and doesn't like to be in confined spaces with dudes.
And if it didn't happen to her, somebody close by.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about a healthy, delicious item, Hero Bread. And we're both trying to get healthier this new year. Jimmy had a eye-opening doctor's appointment and things like that. So we're trying to get healthier, and I'm telling you right now, this Hero Bread is a good step in this direction. It's delicious, and it is really good for you, and it's really excellent. They have the sliced bread is good, the bagels, the tortillas. I know you've been
they're terrific.
Ranting about the tortillas. They're so good. With Hero Bread, you can focus on your health goals and still indulge in the soft, fluffy experience you love, but guilt-free. I really love the little Hawaiian rolls, too.
Yeah.
They're so good. They're so good. The Hawaiian rolls, they're legit. They're fluffy. They're exactly how you want them to be. You'd never know it's low-carb and high-fiber bread from the texture. You get the soft, fluffy experience you know and love with your savory breakfast sandwich, late-night grilled cheese, Taco Tuesday. Do it. No compromises, just flavor, ultra-low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, high in fiber. It's fantastic. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use the code SmallTownMurder at checkout. That's SmallTownMurder at HERO.co.
And now back to the show.
Hey, everybody. Just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. The most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch up here or a total makeover. Yeah. Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing. No. They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently. Wherever your problem areas are, tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's SONOBELLO.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
That's what I mean. This is now the Reinhardt girl, Tina Reinhardt. She left her home on the 29th, like we said, to go to the Top Dollar. She stopped at her grandmother's house, who is Miss Asley Reinhardt. At about 2:30, told her grandmother she's going to the store, and she never came back. Oh my God. So this is within 2 days of each other.
Oh boy.
This is the 28th and 29th. So people in this town, in a small town, are motherfucking freaking out. Yeah. I mean, freaking out. This is like, there might as well be, it's like Independence Day. Yeah. Like the aliens are invading, freaking out. if people hold their kids out of school.
Wow.
People like fucking put extra locks on their door. You couldn't find a gun on the shelves in town.
Oh, I'm sure.
Or an axe or any kind of weapon here. They said at night the fucking town was dead silent. Nobody was out. Everybody was scared except for search parties that were sent out to find these girls. I mean, it's that's just creepy. It sounds like everything's dead except people searching through woods and brush, and it's crazy. The sheriff here, Sheriff Wright, said, quote, "This is a tough one. We're following every lead, checking every story, and doing everything possible to get to the bottom of this thing." And the chief deputy said, "We've talked to a lot of people and we have more to talk with, but right now we just don't have anything to tie together in order to come to any definite conclusions. We would have to say that we have no number one suspect at this time." Not good.
No.
At this time,
not helping, sir.
No, and there's no connection between the two. The 14-year-old and the 20-year-old, they don't know each other. There's no connection. It's not like they were, someone that maybe the same person.
Right.
So they're like, how many fucking people are running around killing people here? What the fuck, basically? It's not Roger Deadman. He's in jail for killing his wife.
Right.
Also, in the paper, they ran this cartoon to show what Gaffney was. It was a cartoon with a house and with a giant padlock the size of the door on the door. And a man in the window with a gun and a bright porch light and welcome was crossed out on the mat, and it said, quote, "Gaffney by night" under it. So people just looking for
Lord,
this fucking killer who's stalking the streets, which well, fucking
that would be too.
It's fucking frightening. People said this is the editor of the paper, this Gibbons guy. He says, quote, his last name's Gibbons, quote, "People were afraid to go to school, afraid to go shopping. They kept their children locked in the house." It was fucking crazy. People would. They said that people were shooting at shadows in their yards.
What?
Just anything. People were fucking paranoid and on edge and just walking around with their guns.
Drawing down on their shadows.
On shadows in the yard. This sounds dangerous. He said people really didn't know what to do. They're armed, which is what happened 40 years ago. If you step up on somebody's porch, you don't know whether you'll get shot or welcomed.
Oh, my God.
So, that shit is pretty fucking interesting. But the thing is, what ends up happening is February 8th, 1968. So this is 10 days or so go by. Nothing happens. And then February 8th, 1968, that all changes here. Bill Gibbons, who's the guy we just talked about, got a quote from. He's the managing editor of the Ledger. He says on February 8th, an anonymous caller called him and told him to take 3 sheets of paper and write down, quote, 3 stories that he's going to give you.
Oh.
And he said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go, and he gave him directions to things, basically. And after about 2.5 hours after that, another call came into the sheriff's office asking if Gibbons had contacted the sheriff. And the sheriff said, yes, we got a call from Gibbons. And so the guy hung up. Now, what he says to him on the first sheet, write the following. This is what he says to Gibbons. Write the following. Go by the junior high school to the Chain Gang Road. Following the road toward the Chain Gang to the second bridge, you'll see a dirt road. You turn off on it, go to the top of the hill, turn left, and go to the edge of the woods. Stop the car, get out, face toward I-95, and walk 1/4 mile through the woods, down one hill, and up to the top of another. Look for a pile of brush.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Then, right after that, he said, take the second sheet and put on it, go to the bridge on the Old Fork Road, look in the water on the downhill side. Okay. Then he instructed Gibbons to write the following on a third sheet of paper. March 20th, 1967, Jerusalem Road, Union County, Annie Lucille Deadman. Spindale, North Carolina.
Boy.
He said to write. And that's all he ever said about that. Now, he said after that, go back to sheet number 1. Write the name Nancy Christine, E. Smith Street. So at this point, the newspaper guy said he's getting a little sick of this shit. He's like, who the fuck is this idiot, and why is he doing this?
Right.
This is a waste of my time. He said he just got back from lunch. He was going to get back into his work. He's got this guy telling him to write shit on paper, playing a game. He's like, is this a kid playing a prank? What is this stupid shit? So he said, whatever. He said, I'm curious, though. So I stayed on the line, didn't hang up on him. And the guy said, he told him to do so. Gibbons says back, Nancy Christine who? He said, and the guy said, Christine is not her last name. That will do. That's all he said. He said, that's it. Then he said, go back to sheet number 2 and write down the name Nancy Carroll Paris, Chatham Avenue. Okay. After this, he said, get the sheriff to go with you and you will find 2 bodies at the location I've given you. This is not a crank call. So the reporter said, this guy's full of shit. Yeah. This guy's full of shit. And I don't fucking believe him at all. But he said, you know, even if it's a crank call, it can't hurt to go with the sheriff down there.
How many phone calls is he getting telling him to find bodies?
But like this sounds
Christ.
It sounds way too elaborate.
I don't know.
One of those things.
I'd be horrified and be like, I'm not going to these places.
We've watched TV for our whole lives. This is 1967. There's not as much TV. Yeah. So this just sounds far-fetched bullshit. This doesn't sound like some plot from a fucking Hitchcock story.
And Zodiac hasn't even started yet, has he?
No, or right around then. Yeah. And that's in California. Right. So, I mean, this is a small town. They're just not used to this. They're like, who is this asshole? This is ridiculous. So he said, when I called Sheriff Julian B. Wright away from his lunch, he thought it was just pranksters too.
Julian B. Wrong.
Julian B. Wrong, motherfucker.
This shit's real.
It's real as shit. So, the call describes all this. Surprise, basically, they went over first to the railing of the small bridge that they said, and there they found, completely naked, the body of a young woman, mostly on the bank, but her face was in the water.
The editor went with him.
Yeah, the editor went to go with the cop.
I'll be like, cool, there's one there. Yeah. He told us where another is. I'm going to go the fuck home.
He's a reporter, though.
But yeah,
this is gold if you're a reporter.
Call me and let me know what happens.
That's why you're not a reporter. Reporter is the guy who calls you to tell you what happened.
How much
do you understand how this works? Jesus Christ, Jimmy.
It's not that complicated. An interview, man.
No, that's not how you do it. Reporters go on the thing. That's why you're not, or I am not investigative reporters or anything.
I don't want to see this.
So they thought it was bullshit. Yeah. They were going like, yeah, whatever, we'll take a ride. It's bullshit. And we'll clear it out, and then we'll have a laugh at it, and we'll probably get shit-faced later, and we'll go beat our wives together, or whatever they did back then. I don't fucking know.
Scary part, though, is if this guy's
we'll go pin something on a black guy. I don't know. Fuck.
If he'll do this shit, he's leading us out to this body. Is he nearby and he'll pick us off?
That's
this
the other
terrifying
thing. It's crazy. But back then, like I said, they didn't think there wasn't all these stories and movies and TV shows where is he hiding in the thing? It's just for bullshit.
Sweet Jesus.
So basically, they ended up looking down. This is just like the caller had said, Nancy Carroll Paris's body that they find down there. She'd been missing since the night before. Basically, they found, and don't even because it's worse for her, they found both her and her dog were strangled. Okay. She had also been raped and beaten a little bit as well. They were
strangled the dog too.
Strangled with a belt. Which is the same thing that they think that Lucille was strangled with. Yeah. Basically, she's discovered beneath the old country bridge on Ford Road. Mm-hmm. Her body was laying, like we said, head submerged in the water, deep circular mark around her neck, and cigarette burns on her back.
Wow.
So sadistic a bit here, too. Next, they said we followed the very accurate instructions given by the caller. Arriving at the scene, facing I-85, we could hear the road noise and could make out a fairly accurate guess about the direction. We fanned out, each man searching in a different direction off the thickly wooded area. Now they're fucking serious. Now they've called in other people.
Thank God.
We need to fucking find this motherfucker serious. This isn't a joke anymore. They said, here we found what the caller's measurements were off somewhat, for we had walked about 3/4 of a mile when Deputy Cole shouted that he'd found a body. He came upon the brush pile as the caller said he would. He kicked off part of the brush and saw a portion of another body. It's a young girl, face up, hands at her side, completely nude, bearing several scratches, abrasions, and deep blue-red bruise around her neck. Same thing as the other one. She's also been raped. And, the caller had given the first of the two names as Nancy Christine, but had not given the last name, which was Reinhardt. Mm-hmm. So she goes by Tina Reinhardt. He said that she lived on East Smith Street and was about 2 blocks off of that because she lived on East Montgomery Street. And, and the editor said, I'm not the only guy who heard his voice, basically. Now, the problem is people around town start thinking it's Gibbons that did this.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that saves him with the cops is a call came into the sheriff's department saying, did he call you while he was with the sheriff? That's the only way that he's cleared by the sheriffs. Otherwise, they all suspect him too. And they don't release that caller called the sheriff's office because they don't want to like reveal their whole hand to the public. Yeah. But that means that the whole public is talking shit about Gibbons, saying that he's the murderer.
That's fucked up.
Everyone in town is saying he's the murderer.
They also don't want to reveal that they know. They want to leave some information that only the killer knows, that he called the cops.
That's what I mean. Right. So it's fucking insane, man. It's nuts here. They did determine that the coroner was wrong here. The coroner determined that Nancy Reinhardt had only been dead less than 24 hours, which would mean she'd been held captive for 10 days, which actually wasn't true. He killed her right after he took her, and the coroner was wrong, basically. Way wrong. Wow. I mean, because it's cold. It's winter.
It's also the 60s.
It's the 60s. Well, and it's winter, so the decomposition doesn't take the same. So
she was the one in the water, too?
No. She was the one under the brush. Under the brush. Now, Sheriff Wright said the body at the Ford Road location would likely have been discovered in a short amount of time, right off the bridge. Not a big deal, but he said it would have been a long time before they found that other one. It was 3/4 of the mile in the woods, under brush. Like, it would have been very, very difficult to
he walked
to
her
find
out
her.
there, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Jesus
He walked
Christ.
her out there. He did this shit. Oh, it gets even worse, too, by the way, as far as creepiness goes. Yeah. This is a creepy motherfucker. Now, the following week, on February 12th, 4 days later, another call comes into Bill Gibbons.
Oh, no.
Here. It's a male voice again, and he said, on a sheet of paper, write this down.
No, I don't want to do this.
At this point, he's grabbing sheets of paper. He's like, fuck it, I'll write anything down you tell me. On a sheet of paper, write this down. March 1967, Jerusalem Road, Union County, and the name Annie Lucille Deadman. He says it again. And now, they disregarded that the first time because they knew that person was found and dead and whatever. No, he says it's Spindale, North Carolina. Don't go by yourself. Take the sheriff again. And he says they went to the location there and found nothing. Because this was a sheriff in another county, so they didn't know that she was found there. So they went to look for a body there, and there's no body. And they're like, there's nothing fucking here. And then they did a little investigation. The cop said, let me look up the name and blah, blah, blah. And they found out that's the exact location where Annie Lucille Deadman was found fucking year and a half earlier. A year earlier there.
The husband's in jail.
And they found out that the husband is serving 18 years in prison for this. So they're like, what the fuck? Confusion is reigning, Jimmy. I don't know what's going on. So then later on that night, the editor goes home, Bill Gibbons, about 9:15 p.m., he gets a phone call at his house.
No, at home.
At home.
Oh, no.
At home.
Oh, no. And he says, get a sheet of paper.
Get a sheet of paper.
Oh, no.
No, he doesn't. He says, quote, this is the same man who called you before. He says,
I hate you.
Bill goes, hello? And he goes, this is the same man who called you before. It's like, God damn it. Why am I so curious about things? Why?
Why did I want to be a reporter?
I could have been an accountant. Sucks. I could have gone to law school. What the fuck am I doing?
This is not what I wanted to do.
So they said, calm, deliberate voice. He says, quote, this is what he says, the caller, quote, we're going to have to do something about that man down yonder serving my sentence. And he said, what are you talking about? And he said, I killed Mrs. Deadman just like I did Mrs. Paris and Reinhardt. I killed them all. I killed them with them all begging me not to do it. He then said he wanted to talk more about the Deadman thing.
I don't want to talk to you.
And he said, quote, the Deadman girl was driving at a high rate of speed when she passed me at Linder's Vineyard. She was driving a red Ford with the left rear tail light out. He, meaning the husband, meaning Roger, was passed out in the car. I was behind her as she started back toward Gaffney. And basically, what ended up happening was he said that when he followed them into the... He had seen them fighting, in the car.
Go to the grill.
And he saw them fighting. So he watched Roger go into the grill, and he said that he came over and basically said, you need a ride?
Yeah.
And she was like, fuck yeah, I do. And she got right in the car. No problem. Didn't take a fucking bit of, didn't even have to talk her into it.
Yeah.
No coercing. Just literally said, need a ride?
Yeah.
She was like, yes, I do.
Oh, boy.
Jumped right in. He says, this is what his next words are. Quote, She had on blue shoes, size 5. She had a blue pocketbook with a snap top. In it was lipstick, an aluminum comb, a picture of a girl sitting on the back of a white Falcon. That's fucking specific. Yeah. A white Ford Falcon. Car keys, a watch, which had no band on it. She had the band broken when she and her husband had a scuffle. This is what he says. So he asked her about it. She wore an open-bottom dress with a lot of frills, no coat, stockings, and a 32-inch bra. No, change that to 36-inch bra.
What a memory.
I took her body to Union County to throw suspicion off Cherokee County. I laid her below the transformers on the old Jerusalem road with her head downhill. Her eyes were still open. He said that she had a relative. She said that Lucille mentioned that she had a relative who was a policeman, and that she said to him, quote, "He's sure going to get you." And basically he says he hasn't gotten you, though, not yet, is basically what the guy said.
That turned out to be a lie.
It turned out to be a lie.
That's amazing, the memory he has. I was married to my ex-wife for 9 years. I still don't know any of that shit. Size.
Yeah, that's the thing here. Gibbons said he asked where he had put the poodle, and he didn't understand. And the guy said, he said, "The little dog, where's the little dog?" And he said, quote, "It's dead." She said Mrs. Paris had the dog with her, and he said, Bill Gibbons said, "Where's the dog?" And he said, quote, "It's out in the open at the exact location where I killed her." "And where is that?" And he said, "I can't tell you. My car tracks are there, and it would give me away. The clothes have been destroyed." So this is after they've been found. So then he says, he didn't talk about the other ones. He said, "Almost before I could gather my thoughts on the call, the guy called again." The guy ended up hanging up, and he called him back. And very calmly, he said, quote, "I forgot to tell you."
Oh, God, you did. Again.
That Mrs. Dedman had some Harris Teeter stamps in her pocketbook. He forgot to add that detail. He wanted to call back to make sure.
Yeah. I forgot to tell you.
And then he said,
I believed you already.
Yeah, I know. You
gave me so much.
The whole paragraph of all of her possessions were quite plenty. So Gibbons said he was trying to ask about Reinhardt and Paris because the other one has been done and whatever. So he's asking about the two girls, and all this guy wanted to talk about was Lucille Dedman. He says, quote, "The same weapon was used in all 3 deaths." And Gibbons said, "What weapon?" And he said, "I can't say it. That would give me away." So he's got his thing here. In a steady voice, he insisted that Dedman death was in March instead of May, even though it was in May. He said it was midnight, March 20th, past 12, which is correct, except it was May 20th. He said that the Reinhardt, the 14-year-old, was slain at 10 a.m., and this was discounted by everyone, but basically that they said, she must have been killed in the afternoon, but they said not if he held her overnight and did it the next day. He might have killed her 10 o'clock the next morning. That's very possible as well here. Then he said, quote, "The coroner got the other just about right, about 1:30, he said about Nancy Paris, because he read about it in the paper. He said, quote, and then Gibbons said, "Don't you think you ought to come in and give yourself up?" And he said, "Well, I'll get the chair now. They'll get me." He said, "We can't do it now. Jesus Christ." And the Gibbons said, quote, "You need help. You might not get the chair at all." And he said, "Yeah, I'll get the chair." He's like, come on. This is fucking South Carolina here.
He even knows when you talk to the cops, they tell you they're going to help you. All they're going to help you do is get in the chair.
Yeah,
that's all they're helping me with.
You need a boost up into that chair? That's what they're giving you. Whatever they're saying, we can help you. That's a boost up to the chair.
That's a guy on each arm guiding you into it.
Can we strap you into this chair? Do you need that help? All helped now? Good. Let's electrocute you. So Jesus Christ. He said, "Yeah, I'll get the chair." Then he said he had the hands and feet tied in all 3. He said he had his hands and feet tied in all 3 cases. All 3 women, he had tied them up. So Gibbons asked him, "Where did you pick up the Paris girl?" And he said, "That would give me away." And they said, "What about the Reinhardt girl?" And he said, quote, "She has been dead a week. I have been back to the grave site 7 or 8 times. So he kept coming back and forth to this place. God knows doing what. So Gibbons said, quote, "You have some feelings or you wouldn't be concerned about Dedman. Why don't you give yourself up?" And he says, quote, "They'll have to shoot me like the dog I am," which is not what you want to hear. And he said, "You need help and we'll try to help you." And he said, quote, "I'm psycho." That's what he said.
I knew
I'm
that.
psycho. You're not helping me. He's like, "There's no help for me. I'm fucked up." And he said, quote, "The only reason I'm telling you any of this is to get the other boy out." meaning Roger.
Right.
He said, quote, what he said? He said, the other boy out, he said, quote, he's serving my time. Which is okay.
He's got a conscience about that.
That's the weird thing. He says, "I'll be in, but if they don't catch me, there will be more deaths." So he's saying, "I'm going to kill again." Also, so yeah, the Gibbons said this is definitely the guy from the first call. The whole deal.
We know Gibbons.
Yeah. So then the next morning, February 13th at 7:15 a.m., a 15-year-old girl named Opal Diane Buxton is going to her school bus stop with her sister trailing close behind her, Gracie Buxton. She's walking behind her. They're going around a bend. Gracie's about 50 yards behind Opal. And at that point, Gracie looks up because she hears a scream. She runs toward the scream, and what she sees is a white man, 25 to 30 years old, forcing her sister Opal into the trunk of a blue or black unknown maker model car.
Oh, teach your kids what cars are.
Yeah, and she's a 16-year-old kid. Yeah. And it's important to say that Gracie and Opal are black. Okay. Everybody else is white in this scenario.
So he does not care.
It's age, race. It's very odd in terms of psychological profile goes.
Everything from 14 to 30.
That's what I mean. 14 to 30, different racial components. It's very much.
And a dog.
Yeah, it's almost like someone who has multiple things going on in their brain type of thing. But we'll talk more about that. So, the sister said that the man spotted her running toward because she was yelling, and that's when she turned and ran away because it looked like he was going to come after her. Yeah. So she ran back to her house, basically. She ran back toward the house about a half mile down the road, a dirt road, too. So this is rural, man. They had to walk a half mile down the dirt road to get to the main road to get to the bus. So she ran to her brother and told him what happened. The two hurried back to the house to tell their parents, who were Emmanuel Buxton, and I don't know his mother's name, or their mother's name. Relatives, everybody goes to where they are, where this girl was taken, and the only signs they see are one of Opal's shoes on the ground, some school books that she carried scattered on the ground, and her scarf is right there as well. Yeah. So clearly it was a struggle.
Right.
Now, the Buxtons don't even have a phone. Mm-hmm. They don't have a phone in their house. So the father has to drive to his mother's house to call the police, who immediately started what they called the largest manhunt in the history of the county at that point. So they're looking for blue or black sedan, white man, 25 to 30 years old, holding a young black girl hostage. Right. So yeah, that's basically
a significant part.
That's the part you're going to see. There's probably a bunch of the other one, but that's what.
There's only one of those.
Only one of those, probably. Yeah. Thank fuck. Thank fuck for that. So February 14th, 1968. At this point, they're looking, and everybody's involved in this. The whole town's interested in searching and finding and trying to help this girl and find her because they've seen what's happened to two other people here. So a local golf pro named Henry Costin Transow, he golfed at the National Cherokee Golf Club, and a friend of his named Lester Skinner, they said, you know what, fuck, man, we heard that this abduction took place not too far from this golf course, so let's look around. Let's join the fucking search. So they do. They begin searching around the back roads around there, what they say, looking for someone who would strangle kids, basically. They're looking for a guy who fits that description, anybody who looks out of place. They're especially looking for an older model Chevy, blue or black, with a guy who fits that description in it. That's what they're looking for, cruising around back roads looking for kids to kidnap. Okay. So while they're searching around, they find a young man standing next to a black 1957 Chevy, trying to block the road with logs.
What?
He's pushing logs out into the middle of the road to block the road off. So these two guys stop and get out of the car, and they stop and get out of the car. This guy jumps in his car and fucking takes off.
Right.
So they hop in their car and chase off after him.
Oh.
So now they're tearing through the back roads like fucking Roscoe P. Coltrane chasing the Duke boys.
Got some NASCAR.
Oh, there's some fucking clouds of dust are going.
Yeah, some rubbing going.
Shit is crazy
Gravel's
here.
flying.
But what they do, they don't catch him, but what they do is they get his license plate number.
Nailed it.
They get the license plate number here. The following morning, Transow, the golf pro, took police back to where he saw the car, and he said, the guy standing here, he's pushing logs in the road. He looked very suspicious, and as soon as he saw us, he jumped in the car and fucking ran away.
Right.
Don't know, but I think this is the guy. So they said, we're going to search around here. So what they do is they start at the road where he was, and they fan out into the woods. Mm-hmm. And about 100 yards from where they saw the car, they find Opal.
What?
They find Opal, and same thing. She is raped and strangled.
No.
And she's also stabbed as well.
What?
So he's progressing. My theory is that he found out that strangling people's hard and it takes a long time. And he said, if I stab, it'll go quicker.
Yeah.
That's perfecting your craft is what that is. What they call that with serial killers.
Yeah.
He's getting a thing first in the road and then over a bridge, and then we'll bury it in the brush a little bit, and then here we'll stab it so it's easier. We'll stab this poor person, and it's fucking rough here. So, yeah, they find her, like I said, nude, strangled, raped, and stabbed in the woods here. Absolutely awful in a creek bed. They find her about a half mile off the highway. Poor Opal Diane Buxton. So the police, what they do is they basically, stake out that spot for longer, because this guy is clearly, he said he returned to the other one 7 or 8 times. He did the same thing with this one. So they stake all that out. They do all of that, and then finally they have their license plate number of the car. So they wait there, and at the same time they do a little investigation, and they find out who owns the car. 2 hours later, law enforcement agents walk into a restroom at a textile mill, and they arrest somebody, a man named Leroy Martin, and they charge him. They have an arrest warrant for Opal's murder, and he's the guy, drives a black 57 Chevy with the license plate that the men copied down.
Cool car.
It is. His was run down and old. He didn't keep it up.
A lot of money.
No, we'll talk about that actually. There's an interesting this car turns into a fucking thing, man.
Oh no.
Everything involved in this case is cursed, by the way.
Really?
It's all cursed. It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah.
Those cars, I mean, even a crap one is worth 15-20 grand right now.
If it didn't even have doors, it would be worth that.
Piece of shit.
Yeah.
You can soup them up and sell them for 150, 200
grand.
God,
people they have them. If you look at Barrett
it's one
Jackson,
of the most sought after vehicles on the planet.
It represents old timey Americana bullshit.
Looks like big tits and big hair.
That's it. That car looks like big tits to me. Somebody takes their hat off and salutes it. Starts singing America the Beautiful. For
hips, tits, and hair right there. That's what that is on 4 wheels.
For amber waves of tits. That's the song, right? Amber waves of tits comes out, I think.
I don't know if my dick's hard.
I don't know, but it's fucking turning me on, buddy. I'll tell you what.
Those fins on that car. Look at this dick. It's throbbing.
Lips, hips, and tits. Oh, boy. So, February 17th, 1968, they arrest Leroy Martin is his name. 30-year-old guy, textile worker. Quote in the paper, they quote him as having several children. Okay. He has 3. We find out later. Could have very easily found that out. I found it out in 2 seconds. Fucking 40-something years later. So I feel like 50 years later. I feel like a newspaper reporter could have found that out very quickly back then.
His relatives were alive. They could have asked a question.
You think, right? So they look into his background. All they find criminally on this guy is he really doesn't have much of a record except for one incident. 1957, he's arrested for assault with intent to rape.
Oh, no.
Which is would definitely be a precursor in this type of thing. That's when you realize, gee, if I leave him alive, they'll tell on me.
They tend to talk.
Yep. So they give him a psychiatric examination after his arrest, and he's judged sane. As right away they would take him to the hospital to see if they were going to be able to try him. So while awaiting trial here, he's at Central Institution. He tries to kill himself, sort of. It's a half-hearted suicide attempt here. He pulled a slat from his bed and scratched up his arm. He didn't it was a pretty weak one.
Yeah.
He just, He wasn't really going for it.
No.
We'll talk about a real one later on. That's not it. That's weak. That's weak shit, brother. So now it's at this moment that Georgia authorities come up from around the Atlanta area to talk about 2 disappearances of young girls that they have down there as well. So they come up, they investigate the whole thing, but they're unable to establish any connection because they have women who were killed in the same fashion down there. So they thought maybe there's a connection.
Match the timeline too.
And it matches it, but he was somewhere else, so it doesn't work out. So they get him behind bars. After a search of his property, items were found here that were described just like he called in the calls. A small hairbrush was found. Harris Teeter stamps were found. Keys, an aluminum comb owned by Mrs. Dedman, all of this shit.
He kept all of it.
He kept it all. And we'll find out what he did with this shit, too, because there's some other stuff here. So they announced this. They announced that they've arrested him. This is like the day after, 2 days after Opal disappeared, or the same week Opal disappeared. So they announced that they've arrested him. When they do, hundreds of people come to the courthouse.
Of course they do.
Hundreds. Like half the town comes to stand in front of the courthouse to basically say, fucking, let's have a gander at this monster, basically.
Can we look?
Can we look at Frankenstein? That's exactly what it is. 2 bits of gander, brother. That's what they want. They want to catch a glimpse of who's this fucking monster. Because
what's it look like?
This wasn't normal back then, like now, where everyone knows of serial killers.
But if I say
serial killer, you can picture in your brain 20 guys, you know exactly who they look like. Back then, that term didn't even exist.
Even still, though, no matter if I can, you picture them or not, they never look the same. So the new guy, you just want to see it anyway. It's like, it's
what's it look like?
Right. It's
what's evil look like?
Right. It's like seeing the new Dodge pickup truck. Yeah. What's it look like this year?
What's it look like? Well, what's the fucking what's the Demogorgon look like in Stranger Things this year? Like, what's coming from the upside down now?
Right.
That's
I gotta
what
see
it is.
The new one. The new model is crazier than the last one. Let's see it.
So they also gather around because they have his black sedan outside also. So everyone gathers around the murder car and they want to see him.
Headers.
Yeah, they get Sheriff Julian V. Wright, who's wrong earlier, and he's wrong again because listen to his quote. This is 1968, man, okay? Quote, we charged him with the murder of the colored girl for the time being.
Oh, you bastard.
That was late. That's too late for that. That's too late for that.
John F. Kennedy went on TV already.
No, that's...
He talked about there's a civil rights movement is here to stay.
I know in 72, when Archie Bunker says it on All in the Family, Meathead tells him that that's not okay to say anymore. So from 68 to 72, I don't think it changed that much. I feel like that's not okay. But that's a Southern sheriff for you, apparently.
That is wild.
And they said that more charges might come, and they congratulate they thank the golf pro for leading them there.
And thank the pompous, douchey white man.
Yeah.
He's the one that solved this case.
That's right. So the golf pro said, quote, my little girl has been sleeping right beside me. My wife has been right next to me on the other side, and my little boy next to her. He said, we only live a mile from where... Jesus Christ, man.
What does he say?
We only live a mile from where the colored girl was kidnapped, and I don't want anything like that to happen to my little girl. Jesus, man.
What the fuck?
She's a dead teenager. Show her some respect.
Unbelievable.
Do you have to, why mention it at all? I only mentioned it for the psychological thing.
He could just say the victim.
The girl. How about the young woman, the young lady, the girl, you can call her anything. She's 15. Girl.
Save your breath.
The kid, anything. But, God, don't say that. You want to hear something very creepy?
No.
Well, you're going to hear it. On February 15th, this is
3 days later.
This is the day after Opal disappeared. The day before she was found.
She was abducted on Valentine's Day.
The day before Valentine's Day.
God damn it.
The 15th, Nancy Reinhardt's family hosts a visitation at their home where they have her laid out. Young
my God.
Nancy Reinhardt.
They got her laid in state at home.
They got her laid in an open coffin.
Boy.
That's what the parlor in your house is for. That used to be where you show your dead people.
Oh my God.
That was what that was for. So that was a common thing back then. So they didn't all have the fucking Macaulay Culkin funeral home with the that didn't happen all the time. So yeah, they did that. So it was in the living room, open coffin, and a stranger came.
Yeah.
And it was Leroy Martin. He came. he stood next to the coffin with the girl's mother and looked down at her and said, quote, "She sure is a pretty girl. I don't see how anyone could have done this to her."
Unreal.
To the girl's fucking mother in her house.
Unbelievable.
This is after he visited her all the time.
After he did horrible things
this
to that body.
This is a sick.
What a monster.
Sick person to do that. That's a special kind of sick right there.
So she didn't even know the guy.
No, she didn't know. It was just people. Lots of people came because he was he was a dead child. So tons of people from the churches and from just the townspeople came to pay their respects. They'd bring pies and shit, peaches or whatever the fuck they'd bring to try to...
Peach rings.
Right. That'll make you feel better, especially with THC. And the mother would be like, I don't know. She's all right. So that is maybe the most disgusting thing in the world.
I've never heard anything more cold.
He was offered a cup of coffee, and he accepted and stayed at the house for several hours.
What?
Hanging out with everybody, with the family in the living room.
Staying near the body.
Drinking coffee, staying near the body, talking to her family.
Oh, good Lord.
Speculating on who could be such a monster and all this type of shit. This fucking guy is evil.
Yeah.
Fucking evil.
Incarnate. That's fucking
And if
wild.
he didn't want to get caught, he wasn't getting caught.
Yeah.
This guy could have done this for a long fucking time, man. I mean, let's face it. If he doesn't call, this would have lingered for forever. He was just bored, I think.
How do you do that but have a conscience about a guy staying in prison?
That's the very fucking interesting part here. So... Now, February 27th, they search a well. In this well, they said it's past the place where Opal's body was found, where Buxton, that young lady, was found here. And they stop the car, and it's down a winding street, and they find a well, and they bring the bucket up from the well, and they find all sorts of fucking shit in this bucket, man. Just... you name it, just evidence, a well of evidence, literally. Basically, they find an all-weather coat bearing the initials ODB, not the old dirty bastard.
Damn it.
Her initials are
Opal. God damn
Opal
it.
Diane Buxton, ODB. Which she
had a cool name.
I know. It's
God
really
damn
fucking.
it.
I know, dude. It's
fucking jerk.
Couldn't it be any sadder? It was written on the coat with a laundry marker, so she wouldn't get lost at school. One of the arms had been removed from it, so it had been torn off, probably a fight or something like that. They lowered more shit in, and they found. They found all sorts of shit, man, in this well. They found a billfold. They found 2 blankets, 1/2 of a black bra, stockings, a garter belt, a shirt, a slip, a man's undershirt, women's underwear, a brown loafer type shoe, a man's shirt. Like, he was just throwing all of his shit down there from the murder. He threw his murder clothes down there. He threw their stuff down there. Everything he did. Fucking tons of stuff. And it's all sorts of shit that's identified as stuff that belonged to these victims as well. Yeah. All of them.
How did they find this well?
He told them about it once he's in jail. He told them about this fucking well. He's like, there's a fucking well here. That's when they found the poodle later on. Was there. Because at first they didn't find the poodle. Really? They find the poodle later, because that's why the newspaper guy was like, what'd you do with the dog? And he's like, it's right around there. It's a small dog, and they were looking for a human body, so they weren't really concerned about where the fucking poodle was at that point. When they find a 20-year-old woman dead, it's a little more of an issue. So they gathered all this evidence, tons of shit. I mean, lots of stuff really tying him to it as well. It's really fucking bad. The sheriff here, Sheriff Wright, said, we're doing our investigation of the Deadman case now. It's our duty to free the innocent if there's someone serving time for a crime they didn't commit. But also on February 28th now, so that's February 27th. Now on February 28th, after they find all of this wealth of evidence, including several things that belong to Lucille Deadman, like her stamps that he had and all this other shit, he killed her. There's no fucking doubt about it. So on February the 28th, in the early mornings, Roger, who's in prison, is brought down to the guard quarters of the prison camp.
Why?
He's like, oh shit. He thought he was in trouble. He said he was very fucking uncomfortable. He thought he was going to be punished or something. And he said he sat there. He didn't shat. He said he shat right on the floor. And the guy was like, Jesus, relax.
You're not in trouble. We're letting you go.
Bro, calm down. What the fuck is your problem? Clean that up. So, he sits there, and he said that it was like he remembers that the sofa was soft, and he hadn't sat on anything soft in a long time. So he was like, well, this is weird.
His ass cheeks didn't hurt.
He was uncomfortable, he said, because he didn't know how to sit anymore on something soft. So
sat in it for 5 minutes. He's got a backache.
Oh, he's like, Jesus. So after a few minutes, the man here tells him that there is new evidence, is what he says, that indicated that he's actually indeed innocent of the killing of his wife, and he's probably going to be set free soon. So he said he broke down fucking sobbing right away, saying, oh my God, this is amazing. What the fuck? He said it's crazy. He doesn't know what to do. He said that the greatest thing of all will be being able to sleep again. He said, I don't get much sleep at night. Now, maybe now the dreams will stop. He's been having a fucking hell of a time. He's not a fucking murderer, and he's been put in a fucking chain gang. So, they actually let him hang out on the sofa for a while longer before they brought him back to his cell. He was like, this sofa's comfortable to like hang for a little while. They felt fucking awful for him. They're like, yeah, we kind of fucked you over real bad.
Put your head on it. Try that shit out.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's going to be wild. So later on, they go to get him again later on that day, and the cell doors open, and he said to the guard, is it over? And the guy said, yeah, and he turned to another one. He said, are you sure it's over? Like, is this real?
A goddamn joke?
Yeah, and he's going to be released that day pending the trial, because they have to retry him just to clear it off the docks, but he's going to be released now. He said he fucking cried about his son. He's got a 2-year-old son that he hasn't been able to see. The kid's mother's dead and he's in prison.
Oh, fuck.
It's fucking horrible. And the kid lives in Charlotte with relatives. And he says, quote, my son is all I have left now. I hope to go back to Charlotte and be reunited with my son. I hope to make a life in Charlotte. At this point, so when this happens, all the prison staff and all the court people find out about all this, and they all hear about it. So when they bring him into court, everybody's like super nice to him and like,
hey, sorry about that.
Literally like patting him on the back and saying sorry and wishing him well. And like they're fucking, it's a court full of guilty people there. You know,
we sure owe you, buddy.
Oh, bad. Sorry. But sorry you said you killed your wife. That's... It's not like he just did time for something. They said he killed his wife. Right. Like, that's fucked up. Right. And, like, your kid was told that probably, and your relatives.
The cop sat up there and said that you told him that you did it. I'm really so sorry.
Yeah. So he is finally released on Leap Day, February 29th, before he's released. But when he's released, he's fucked. Yeah. He's got nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
He's got no job. Yeah. He's got no home. He doesn't have a dime in the fucking bank.
His credit's ruined.
Ruined. This, the whole thing cost him and his parents about $5,000, which is way fucking more. That's about $50,000, probably $40,000 now.
It's a good bit.
Cost him that, which he can't recover unless the South Carolina legislature passes a special law. Mm-hmm. But the fucked up part is, while this is going on, this is weird. There's a victims fund and a crime fund that gives money to victims' families and destitute people that crimes have affected. Right. They give a check for $311.41
to who?
To the family of Nancy Reinhardt, to the family or to the family of Reinhardt, to the family of Nancy Parrish, to the family of Opal Buxom. Yeah. And then they give $311.41 to Leroy Martin's wife because now she's destitute because he's in jail for murder.
That's our problem?
So they gave her money. And I'm like, and there's a picture in the paper of this guy handing out checks to all these people. And I'm like, if I'm one of these families, I'm like, we'll take her fucking portion. Yeah. Fuck you. What are you doing? I know it's not her fault, but for Christ's sake, it's not ours either.
If I'm the guy walking out of prison with nothing, I'm
ridiculous.
Can I just get hers?
Can I get her $311?
I'm the victim here.
What the fuck, man? So he's fucked, basically, when it comes to that. He has to have a second trial, which is scheduled for May 20th of that year. Ironically enough, they could have at least made it a different fucking day.
What the fuck?
Which this is the day that all charges are expected to be dropped, but he also has to raise $1,000 for bail to be able to get out to do that. If he doesn't have $1,000 for bail, he has to sit in jail till May 20th.
Oh my God.
So he has to do 3 more months in jail, or he has to come up with $1,000. So basically, his parents and relatives. I mean, this is a big famous thing that he's been, exonerated. It's easy to scrape up $1,000. There's plenty of people willing to drop a couple bucks in the hat for that one because, I mean, Jesus Christ,
he didn't do anything.
He didn't fucking do. You gotta feel bad for the guy. Not only is his wife fucking dead, even if they didn't get along, the mother of his son is dead, and he's got to feel sad about that. And then
there's 3 girls too that don't have a mom. That's 4 goddamn kids.
That's crazy.
This is a mess.
And it gets even weirder for him as Roger Deadman's sister said that she believes, this is in the paper while he's still in jail, that Lucille Deadman's mother and father and sister are going to oppose his release from prison because they don't want him to take Roger Jr. away from them. So they're going to oppose his release from prison even though he did nothing. This is...
Why would they do that?
She said that the in-laws were told at Lucille Deadman's funeral by Roger Deadman that they could keep the baby until he came home. So they told her, he said we could keep the baby till he comes home. So basically, if he's in jail, that's our baby. So it's fucking crazy. His sister said, quote, they know he will be coming home soon and they don't want him to take the baby away from them. Okay. It's his baby. Right. Christ almighty, it's all he's got left.
Right.
It's literally all his fucking guy's got left. Give him his baby back.
Goddamn thing.
We're keeping it.
Right.
What kind of an asshole? Can you imagine that shit?
Yeah, but it's their daughter's kid too. You know what I mean? So they feel that shit.
I know you've been through some stuff here. We get it.
You're a mess. We're not. We'll hang on to him.
You go out. You can put your life back together. You can go out and party and do your... No, he wants the deal there. So Leroy Martin is with the police, and he makes conflicting fucking statements and left and right. First, he's like, yeah, it's not me. And then he's like, all right, it's me. I don't know. Sure it is. Why not? No, it's not. He keeps going back and forth. And they're like, this guy's an asshole. This guy's a fucking asshole. Someone get a phone book out. We're going to work this guy over, man.
Just get Gibbons in to make a phone call to him and find out if that's the voice.
Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, he said that he called this just displaying what he called, quote, his own special character. That's him being an asshole and denying it and then admitting it. He said that he felt he is, quote, a dual person. Keep in mind, this is 1968. Sybil hasn't even come out yet.
Yeah.
So this is fucking
nobody knows.
Multiple personality is not a known thing for people. They do not know shit about it. He told police that he could remember standing on a hill, looking down in the valley, and watching himself commit the crimes. And then he just shrugged and said, I'm psycho.
Yeah.
What do you want, basically? The fuck you want from me?
We think so.
One dog's going one way, the other dog's going the other way. This guy's saying, what do you want from me?
Oh, boy.
That's what he's got going here. So his mother, Mrs. Daisy Martin, she said that she was told by her son that he was, quote, 2 people. That's what her son was telling her for the last few years, that he's 2 people. And he can't control it. He's 2 people. Okay. He's got different sides of him. And he also told his mother that he's pretty positive that he's going to be killed in prison if he's sent to prison here. Just based on what he did, he's not going to be a real popular guy.
No, nobody's going to like me.
He raped 2 teenagers and killed them. And then 2 adults, too. But 2 dead teenage girls.
The babies.
You're getting fucking...
And
there's some retribution for that.
And it's not like... If there's race wars in prison already at this point, because I don't know, I haven't been in the 60s before.
Yeah, depends on the state. Every state's so different.
I'm just saying, both races, blacks and whites, are going to be awfully
he's dead either way. Yeah, no, he's dead either. He's fucked either way.
Yeah, one of each. You're a real.
No one's liking you at that point. That too is the other thing. So he probably even get white people mad at him because he fucking, I don't know. He included a black girl in the same thing that he did with white girl. You didn't segregate her, goddammit. Who knows? I'm sure what the hell people get mad at him for down there. So the sheriff at this point, Sheriff Ernest Harrington in the other county, he's at the time chief deputy to Sheriff Julian B. Wright. He says that he is the best one. He tells the newspaper he can testify to the change which comes over Martin. He says he's seen it. He says after Martin had been persuaded, they said, show us how you place the belt around the necks of the people. Show us what you did. They wanted him to do it. Mm-hmm. So they said, show us what you did. Harrington, who's the fucking chief deputy, he volunteered to be the victim. He says, quote, even though Martin was in custody and he's in a room full of officers, he had to shove him off of him from strangling him. He said he just started fucking strangling him.
Get the doll, you dummy.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, it's the same thing they did with Marty, where they said, show us what you did.
Yeah, but don't
give him the opportunity. But this guy, normally they wouldn't fucking do that because you're in a room full of cops. They'll beat the shit out of you at that point. But he said he did it. He says, quote, he had a strange look in his eyes. So he was like, this is fucking crazy. He said after being broken from the hold and get the belt off his neck, he said all of a sudden the guy went from this crazed look to he stopped and ran and threw himself down and sobbed and apologized and said he didn't know what came over him. He's like, what the fuck? This guy is fucked.
He was going to do it.
He was trying to kill the guy in the fucking thing. He's like, I love doing this. He said a strange look came over his eyes because this is his thing that he does.
Why?
This is his thing. You know what I mean? Whatever you're into, that's what he's into. Whatever you see that you're like, yeah, my dick's hard. That's what gets him going.
His 57 Chevy.
That's it, right
Choking
there.
people.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. So he said that, you know, he also said that he's glad the officer pushed him away. He's very sorry. He obviously didn't want to murder the officer. I don't know what I was doing, blah, blah, blah. Asshole. Right. So now May of 68, like I said, they need to try this fucking retry this Deadman guy to drop the charges. Poor Roger. He's finally released after the charges are formally dropped, and he's absolutely done. And he moves to Charlotte to live with his parents and his family and his young son. So September 1968 is Martin's trial. Oh, Leroy Martin here. No cameras or broadcasting equipment were allowed in there at all. Just, I don't know why, but they weren't. Now, Leroy, in this particular case, they're trying Opal Diane Buxom and Lucille Deadman first. They try those cases first. This trial begins, and he decides right away he wants to plead guilty. So he decides he's going to plead guilty, and he's sentenced to life in prison on each count here, as we'll talk about. They give him, we'll get on to that later, but during it, before the sentencing, he had to show basically and talk about how he killed Lucille Deadman and strangled her. He talked about how he did it with a plaited wire. It wasn't the belt for that one. It was a different one. He said, quote, I've been trying to forget a lot of that. He said, I've got a job and I'm making a little money, but the job is not the best one I could have gotten if all of this hadn't happened. I've got a year and a half of college, business college. I was working myself up in a plant when this happened. He said, so he's trying to act like he did fine. So the judge says, you, sir, may fuck off. 2 life sentences consecutive.
Good.
That's important.
Yeah, that's great.
That's to start with here. Now, during this, though, because he was up for the death penalty, the weird thing is, during this, basically, the jury basically it was said that the jury made a recommendation of mercy. The jury foreman announced a recommendation of mercy, which they used to do back then. And at least one member of the jury told the press afterwards that they were not asked about the mercy recommendation, didn't agree to it, and don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Didn't agree to it and don't agree with it.
We didn't know we were giving them that.
Yeah, that was something that was worked out without their fucking knowledge. So somehow the jury foreman took it upon himself to basically save this guy's life and say that they wanted mercy. So it's at this point also that Roger decides he's going to file a little lawsuit against the county.
Really?
Because, what do you think here? Civil lawsuit against the prosecutor and the sheriff who started the trial. Basically,
Mr. Be Wrong.
The people who said he confessed and gave a detailed fucking account of his confession without any proof of it, he's suing the fuck out of them.
I'm glad.
Which I hope he gets a shitload of money. So, no written, get the fuck out of here. You have no shit written down?
Nothing.
Fuck off. Write stuff down, always. So, May 1969 here. This is May 20th, 69. Leroy Martin, at this point, waives his right to trial for the murders of Nancy Christine Reinhardt and Nancy Carol Paris at this point. These are the other two. He described to the courts what he did to these people. Jesus Christ, Jimmy, it's so fucking awful.
Tell me more.
It's so fucking awful, man. He tortured these girls. He took them. He fucking talked to them. He kept them for different amounts of time. He had his way with them. He assaulted them. He fucking would tell them he's going to let them go, and then, obviously he's not. He would fuck with their heads.
Yeesh.
He then eventually he'd strangle them and leave them just nude out when he was done with them like garbage, throw them out there. And It's just fucking disturbing, man, to hear all the shit he did here. And in the detail, too, that he has to give for the court. He's found guilty on all 3 counts here, on all the counts here. He is sentenced again. You, sir, may again fuck off. 2 more life sentences, also consecutive.
So he's got 4.
He's got 4 stacked back to back to back to back at this point. But the way the laws are, he can still get out.
What?
The laws are you serve. It's not without parole.
Oh, you serve.
So you serve a certain So you can get out here. So he's given life sentences. Now, once he's in prison, he sends a letter to the editor here. Mm-hmm. He says,
"Oh my God, this poor fucking
this guy's like, I'm still hearing from Gibbons, but Gibbons is getting good stories. I mean, Jesus Christ."
He's winning the Pulitzer
We're talking
Prize.
about him 50 years later, and nobody else from that era is getting talked about. So, he says in the letter that he, quote, would have to sleep with one eye open because, quote, everybody down here is after me when he's talking about jail.
Yeah.
No shit.
Oh, he has to, not Gibbons.
No, he has to in jail.
Martin.
He said he has to sleep with one eye open because everybody's after him. He also told Bill Gibbons that he was, quote, sorry if I caused you or your family any trouble. Okay.
I haven't slept a wink since that night.
I just felt terribly guilty about that here. And now the prison warden here said Martin was kept basically by himself in 1967 and 1968. Yeah. Because they don't know what the fuck is up with this guy. They just know he's the worst guy in the prison, basically. Right. He's like their Hannibal Lecter, so they don't know like how to deal with him. They don't know if will he just start going batshit if they put him in with other people? Will he start just shanking people left and right?
Or will ask him, what do you eat, sir?
Or will he be like a quiet, like kind of go about his business?
Do you eat and poop and all that stuff?
You do that too?
Is that you?
Shit, you wear clothes and eat and poop and
Can you use the toilet?
Is that possible? You know how y'all wiping everything? Right. Oh wow, all right. I didn't think y'all would. I think you just leave
both your personalities
running on down your leg.
And both your personalities eat, right?
Jesus Christ. We got to feed them both. He's only getting one of his personalities, man. Whichever one's not an asshole.
Somebody said that shit to him, for
only
sure.
One of your personalities is getting fed today, asshole. So
have both your personalities share this ration.
Yeah, no shit. So he's released in 1968 to the prison yard and to general population. The warden said that he turns out that he was more of a loner than a troublemaker. So that's what they found out after a while. They're like, oh, he's not going to go crazy. He's just going to sit by himself.
He's a weirdo.
He's a fucking weirdo. Yeah, he's not some psycho that wants to go around causing fights with men. He's not going to fight a grown man.
Right.
He steals 14-year-olds and puts them in the trunk. That means he's dickless and wouldn't fight a grown man.
Exactly.
So that's what that means for you.
He rapes them, and that's what makes him feel good. He murders them so he doesn't get caught.
Exactly.
The murder is not the motivation.
A pussy.
Right.
He's a pussy.
He's a worthless scumbag.
And none of these things happen to guys.
Right.
You don't hear like he tried to attack and murder a 6'3", 220-pound fucking Hell's Angel. You didn't hear that, did you? No, because he wouldn't do that. He found a defenseless fucking 14-year-old with her school books.
Right.
Wasn't expecting it, you know? Jesus Christ. The warden.
Although Dave Chappelle says you will never hear about that man because that 6'3" man will never tell anybody.
No. No shit.
We have pride, and we don't want anybody to know.
Fuck, man. So, the warden also says, quote, he was cut by another prisoner in 1969, but it wasn't Martin's fault. And he was fine. He recovered from it, and he was just doing dandy.
Yeah.
And then finally, June 1st, 1972, an inmate here, it is, what's his name? Kenneth Marshall Rumsey, who's 30 years old, of Pickens, South Carolina, stabs the shit out of Leroy Martin.
Yeah?
Stabs him up good. It occurred in Martin's cell in cell block 3 during an activity period at the prison. They both lived in the same cell block where Martin worked as a janitor. Apparently, this guy came up, stabbed him in the back, and then stabbed him repeatedly in the chest.
Yes.
And fucking walked away, left him bleeding to death on the floor.
Awesome.
And Leroy Martin died on the floor of cell block 3 from fucking shank wounds bleeding out. And
got both of them with the stabs.
Yep, got
both
them all.
Personalities.
Boom and boom. One for the front, one for the fucking back, Chief.
It's amazing. Both of you die this way.
Interesting. About 5:50. You dead too? You both dead? So So it's about 5:15 p.m. He's charged with murder, Rumsey. He's given an extra 20 years. He's already serving life, so he doesn't give two fucks.
Yeah.
He didn't care, and they asked him about it, and they said, what the fuck, basically? Why'd you do it? And he was like, well, everybody hated him, and he was a fucking scumbag, and for what he did. And then he said, quote, he bragged that he'd be out in 20 years and that he'd rape the day he got out. He said, so we all decided he's got to fucking die. And I said, I don't give a fuck. I'll do it. So guess what? Shanky, shanky, shanky. And dude went down.
That's awesome.
I'm okay with this.
I wasn't getting out anyway. I just robbed a bank.
Fuck it.
That man killed 4 people and he was going to get out.
Cut the shit out of this guy.
That
now,
system's
whether
fucked.
he'd be out in 20 years or not, it's debatable, but he kept saying, I'll be out in 20 years and I'm going to rape the day I get out. They can't hold me. And they were like, we should probably just stab him, right?
They can't, but we can.
I got a daughter. You know what I mean? You too? Somebody can get raped on the day out. Let's fucking kill this guy. So I do like that they were like, no,
great.
we're not letting him the fuck out of here. Now, another weird thing that happened in this whole deal, there's got to be a curse connected with this case because it's really strange. Mrs. Julia Reinhart, who is Nancy's mother, she says the death of Leroy Martin obviously is okay with her, doesn't kill her memories, it's all okay, because they asked the parents about this. Mrs. Martha Buxton, who is Opal's mother, she said that she was awfully bitter at first about this. She says, quote, but taking a life for a life has never solved anything. So that's good. She also said, some friends called me and told me Martin had been killed, but that don't help me none. It don't bring back my girl.
It's true.
No shit. That's what I mean. That's what I always had out of it.
My bill's still got to get paid this month.
Well, it doesn't help.
Right.
Like
there's no closure. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, my great-grandmother got murdered. They caught the lady, and we all went, so what? Yeah. What the fuck does that do for us? Right. Literally, they were like, oh, she got this many years. We were like,
great.
Literally, a big shoulder shrug, because it was like, that doesn't help us any. That's, I guess, I hope that they don't do that to somebody else, but literally it made nobody feel better, and none of us cared. Like, nobody gave a shit about retribution. We just didn't care about that part. We cared about the part that died, and then the rest of it was that was fucking the state of Florida's problem to deal with the shit. Like, you just say, I don't know, whenever people are vengeful, I don't get the emotion, because I get why intellectually, but it didn't happen for me and like my family. We took it the other way, and we were just like, well, I don't care. I never want to hear that person's name again. I just want to remember my relatives. So I don't know. Everybody has a different reaction to it, though. But this lady's is how I feel.
I'm pretty jacked about him being dead.
But I want him to be dead. No. Dead, but sentenced and shit like that. Who cares? Like, that does this. You go, yeah, fuck that guy. But like, I don't care if, they arrested him and put him in jail. Big deal. What does that do? Doesn't help me any. So, Opal's sister said that she was, quote, really worried that Martin died the way he did. She wanted him to have to live with the thought of those he killed, which is not okay, because that's what he's into. He jerks off to that. That's so...
He sat in one of the victim's living rooms, thriving on it.
He didn't sit there feeling guilty about it. That's the thing.
That.
Yeah, they think of that like a normal person. You'd sit and feel guilty, but he sat there reveling in it. Oh, he did it in front of that family.
He can't wait to do it again.
Oh, if you're that girl's fucking parents, how do you not try to find a way to fucking... I would try to get put in prison so I could rip his fucking head off. Not for killing my daughter, for then coming to the house afterwards and doing that. I'd be like, I will tear his head from his shoulders and play basketball with it. I'm not fucking around.
You'd assume that there's some sort of money or paper trail back to the guy that murdered him from a victim's family, right? Because I certainly would try to do my best to do some research on the hardest son of a bitch that's in the area.
Yeah.
And buy him a shitload of ramen noodles.
Go ahead.
I will buy all
you,
Chief.
Chief.
Of them, sir.
Fuck, man.
I'll clean that canteen out.
Now, back to the cool name, Monroe Paris. They talk to Monroe Paris, and he says something cool, of course, because he's Monroe Paris.
Nine-ball games?
Well, in between 9-ball games and blowjobs, he says something very cool. He puts down the pool cue and taps, says, come on, honey, hold on a minute. Taps her on the back of the head, and he goes,
I'm being interviewed.
I got to tell you, the men are talking. Hold on a minute. It's 1972, so.
Stirring a rocks glass.
Yeah, stirring a rocks glass, holding the pool cue in one hand. So takes the ashtray off of her head and puts it to the side, puts a cigarette out.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I picture him like that 70s, like with a big mustache and a hairy chest, like not cool, like cool, but 70s cool.
Taps her on the ass as she walks away.
Hey,
tells her she does a good job.
That's right. And she winks back at him. Yeah.
I'll be right back, sir.
Yeah. So Monroe here, he said that on the day of Martin's capture, he really hoped that Martin would survive in prison, quote, to get so I could get a crack at him. So he wanted a piece of Martin.
What's he gonna do?
Something.
Monroe would go undercover and just dress as a prisoner and get past the guards.
I feel like Monroe's like, I can wait 20 years. Why? Cool. That's why.
I will stand by the gate and wait.
I'll be playing pool and getting blowjobs from here to then.
Can I set up a pool table right next to the exit door of the prison and just wait?
Just driving my sweet van all around the countryside, talking to beautiful ladies, playing games of billiards, solving crimes. You know how it goes.
He doesn't call it pool. It's all billiards.
Finding missing children. You know how I be.
He says shit like, I'm going down to play billiards and have cocktails.
Oh, yeah.
He says cocktails a lot.
I'm having some cocktails. Why? It's martini hour. He's got a big mustache and he's got a fucking van with a giant Pegasus painted on the side. You know it is. Like a big space Pegasus with like stars and shit.
I've never met somebody that calls drinks cocktails that isn't the coolest person I've ever met.
Cocktails. That's
Everybody
Monroe.
That says it
Monroe's calling for who wants cocktails.
You guys want to have some cocktails? What?
Yeah.
Fuck yes, I do.
Now, the fucked up part is, though, that Monroe Paris ended up dying in an automobile accident before Martin was killed.
Oh, no.
So he didn't get to see that.
Know.
He didn't get to know. No, he died in a car accident in 1971.
Driving real fast.
So
getting roadhead.
Getting road. He's like, oh, Jesus. The van went off the road. Well, it's hard to have an orgy while you drive.
Right.
That's the thing. He's fingering somebody. He's getting a blowjob. He's rubbing his hand on somebody else. He's got his wheels with his elbows. He can't fucking drive like
billiard table.
One knee, you know. That's the other thing. He's 8 ball in the corner pocket there while he's got his eyes on the road and he's fingering. It's not a good thing.
Hollering at somebody to make him
it's
a
too
cocktail.
much. It's to make me a cocktail. You fucking bums. Let's go.
God damn it, Monroe's cool.
I'm growing out my mustache. I don't have time to make cocktails. So,
poor bastard.
And another man here is interesting. An agent who helped lead the investigation and helped capture Leroy Martin, Agent C.L. McKinnon. He died in a fishing boat accident.
Oh my God!
And then also Kenneth Rumsey, the man who
stabbed him up,
who murdered Leroy Martin on April 11th, 1977. He attended his regular psychiatric evaluation that afternoon. He had like a regular psych check-in at about 2:30. Then about 4:30, his body was discovered hanging from a cell bar by his pants. He used his pants to hang himself.
Oh, damn it.
So now he's dead too. Rumsey, it gets weirder, Jimmy. It gets fucking weirder.
Yeah.
Okay. You thought that was just the only thing that was cursed, right? No. Okay. Now, after they're done with the Martin case, they have his black 1957 Chevy.
Yeah.
So they still have that. It is apparently repossessed and sold at auction for $150.
What a deal.
Yeah, it's a broken down 57 Chevy, and it's 1972. They didn't look at those cars as hot shit. Yeah, they didn't know.
Idea.
They didn't know they'd be collector's items. So the car, he sells $150 to a guy named Tinsy Batchelor is his name, okay? The car becomes a weird tourist attraction. People fucking come to stare at it.
I hate that.
Because it's like on The Simpsons where they're like, Hitler's death car. It's like some weird thing that you look at. It's this murder car.
It's Bundy's bug.
They look at fucking Bonnie and Clyde's car. They had that forever. People, it's weird. It's two things Americans love: murder and cars. And you fucking mix it together. And it's a murder car.
Shit.
People are like, oh my God, I don't know why, but my dick's in my hand. I never once thought about it, but I'm a stroking.
I drive. He drives. He drove that. I can't.
I want to kill people.
We're the same.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I want to kill all sorts of people. He did it. I drive. This is a dream come true.
He drove cars. I can relate.
Oh, stop diddling yourself, honey. I know. I put my dick away. You can stop strumming for 1 minute. Okay? Just 1 second. We're going to look around the car and then we'll get it on afterwards. So, he says, quote, I had girls coming by. This is Tinsy Batchelor about the car. I had girls coming by all hours of the day and night wanting to take a ride in, quote, the Strangler's car.
What the shit?
That's the other thing. Certain women have a weird attraction to It's the women who sent Ted Bundy letters in jail, and it's a certain. I'm not saying it's not a big percentage, but there's a small percentage.
But the answer is
they like to be scared and feel. They wanted to take a ride in the Strangler's car.
No.
Listen, it gets creepier. It was a big deal. I'd always take them to the Lover's Lane off the Chain Gang Road where he killed the Reinhardt girl, or to the bridge where he threw Mrs. Paris's body off. He takes them on a fucking murder tour?
He's a monster.
That's disgusting.
That is.
In the car he did it with.
That's the thing.
I get seeing where we went to OJ's house. Yeah, I get it. I know that's not a murder scene, but we went by Bundy too.
I went by the Aurora Theater. I went to the John Bonet house. I went
Lino
to
Lakes.
Yeah.
You've been there. Yeah.
I've done all kinds of shit like that, but I didn't go search out the fucking vehicle.
It's the full experience. It's everything but being raped and murdered.
Gross.
It's disgusting. So he said, want to hear it get creepier?
Oh my God,
Jimmy.
Oh, what did he do in that car with these girls?
I turned the motor off and we'd just sit there in the dark in that car with the girls. Hey. It just got too weird. Got too weird?
It started
the
weird.
Point when you guys got into the car and said, yay, let's go on a Strangler tour. That's when it got weird.
That's when it got weird. Excuse me.
I could see. Is that the car?
Is that the Strangler?
That's not that weird.
Sure is. Fuck off my property.
Can you take me where he murdered people in that car and sit in the dark?
No, go make up with your father.
Where's your dad?
Fuck?
Where's your dad?
Jesus.
He said, no guys too. This is the other thing.
Just women.
When things were, if it's a guy, that's a real creep, and you don't even let him in. Don't let him.
You aren't going to make it back.
He's going to jerk off that bridge. So he says, quote, when things were real dark and real quiet and we were all sitting there in that car at one of those sites, something strange happened every time. The girl sitting in the back would start screaming and want to get out of the car. I had a terrible time with some of them, just getting them to stay in the car until I could drive them back home. No, don't scream. You're not allowed out of the murder car. What? Okay.
When the reality,
let them out.
Let them out, you creep. You're now the creep.
Everything's fine. Just stay in the back seat of the murder car and stare at where a young woman was strangled and dumped. Okay, it's fine.
There was a 14-year-old in the trunk. Sit still.
Oh, do you want to hear what things they said from the back seat?
Oh no!
This is what they continually heard from the back seat. They all said they could hear the screams of female voices crying and moaning in the trunk.
Why would you?
Which is where he put these women.
What the fuck?
So yeah, this is creepy as fuck.
Burn it.
Well, Bachelor ends up, after a couple months of this, he said it was just too fucking weird and he couldn't do it anymore. And he's like, this thing is weird. I got to get rid of this fucking car. Yeah. It's creepy. I feel like it's haunted. I don't want any part of it. So he sells the car to a guy who restored it to 19, because this is like 73. So he restores it to beautiful 1957 fucking perfection, right? Pristine condition. Gets it, never drove it, just hooked it up, made it all, put it up on the thing, show car. The first time he took the car out, less than a mile from his house, he veered off the road, hit a tree, and died.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and the car's totaled. So
it took him too.
Took him, and then
it took the car.
And the car's dead. Finally, it said finally. It's like, fuck it, I'm going off the road. They said there was no other thing. It was a weird, mysteriously veered off the road. One car accident.
Somebody didn't put it back together.
No weather. One car accident.
Wild.
Bashed into a tree. Now, So they asked Roger, fucking Deadman, why do you think? Why did he do this? Yeah. Basically, why did he didn't have to say that he killed your wife. You could be in prison forever. Why do you think he fucking did that for you? And he said, quote, it's strange.
I'd say so.
That's really
it's a good start.
The best, most fucking relevant thing that's been said this whole episode. Quote, it's strange. He didn't care anything about human life, and yet he was worried about mine. It doesn't make sense. I guess we'll never know why. He's confused.
He's confused.
That's it.
That's what we think he is.
He's confused, I guess. So these women here, it was Annie Lucille Deadman, who was 33, Opal Diane Buxton, 15, Nancy Christine Reinhardt, 14, and Nancy Paris, 20. Deadman is buried in Union County at the Spindale Cemetery. Nancy Christine Reinhardt is at the Frederick Memorial Gardens in Gaffney, South Carolina. Also, Nancy Carol Paris is also in the same place. And then Opal Diane Buxton is buried in Mount Sinai Missionary Baptist Baptist Church in Cherokee County, South Carolina. And one more weird thing about this case. Oh boy. If it could be any fucking weirder.
Oh, it's enough.
There's a guy who sues people.
Yeah.
Like, sues like the president and like famous people, like actors and shit. He sues, this is amazing, he sued his mother for having an, quote, evil twin.
Yeah.
And the judge dismissed the case, saying this is one of many lawsuits he's brought against many separate, different people about, not against them, but a lawsuit against this person's, quote, evil twin.
Whoa.
So that's what he would sue. And this guy's name is Quentin Littlejohn, that does these lawsuits, and Quentin M. Littlejohn. And in 2011, he sued to have this case reinvestigated and reopened to add other defendants to it.
What?
Because he said there was
it's a cabal,
more people involved. Yeah, in his mind, it was a whole.
There's all these people and their evil twins.
Yeah, it was a whole bunch of evil twins. That's what it was. It's literally what he said. A whole bunch of evil twins, and it was a whole cabal of like murderer people that they used him to get away. The guy was like, no. The judge said, "Get the fuck out of my courtroom, nutcase." So
what a fucking wild story.
That was it, and that is it, everybody. That is Gaffney, South Carolina, and that is what's known as the Gaffney Strangler to this day. He's known as the Gaffney Strangler. Their very own,
heard of him.
Their very own serial killer down there in Gaffney.
Jesus.
Yeah, that is that's one of those stories. When I found that, I just kept reading it, and my jaw kept dropping more and more and more. And I'm like, is this real? It's real.
It's baffling because he had a conscience in
sort of
some portion.
One of his personalities had a conscience. That's
Somewhere.
what I mean. One of his personalities had a conscience.
Yeah.
One of them didn't. One of them was this. One of them liked black chicks. One of them liked this. One of them was like racist. One of them wasn't. One of them was fucking, one of them liked spaghetti. The other one didn't. It's like
one likes steak. The other likes hamburgers.
The other likes hamburgers.
One likes peach rings. One likes actual peaches.
And everybody likes THC gummies. So that's the case, though. That is the case of Leroy Martin and poor Roger Deadman, and even worse, those poor young girls that are all dead.
A bunch of money.
I could not find him winning money, but I'm sure he won some money. He had to get something. Jesus Christ! I mean, they fucking
railroad a guy like that.
You think they would just settle with the guy just to not get out all the crooked shit they did, because that's crooked. They had 3 cops go up and say shit that man never said on, but they all coordinated their stories and said it in court, which is fucking disgusting.
Gaffney should be called Rogertown.
They should. He should fucking own that place by now. But yes, so there is that. Hope you enjoyed that story. One of our craziest ever, I think. Right? I think that's fair.
I don't think we've had a nickname yet.
No, we have. We've had a couple. Yeah, because we had the what the fuck, the guy in Canada. That guy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the kid in Canada.
That killed the kids.
Yeah, he had a name too. I don't remember what the hell it was now, but that asshole up there. So that's a fucked up one though. So if you enjoyed that show, or just if you want to give us a good review, you can do that, and we hope you do it. We implore you, please do that. Get on Apple Podcast, that purple icon, give us 5 stars. It doesn't matter what you say. You can say you're following instructions, following directions. It's getting very dark in here, help me. It doesn't matter. Just do that. It really helps drive us up the charts if you want to be a friend of the show. And if you want to do more, you go to shutupandgivememurder.com for everything crime and sports and small town murder related. You can get your merchandise, you can get your tickets to live shows, which who the fuck knows when they're happening.
Well, that's a fun little conundrum.
When they do, you'll have a goddamn ticket, and you'll be right there, and we'll be happy to see you. But for now, you can get some merch. There's always new merch up. All sorts of stuff there. Hang out with us. Do that shit. What else can you do there? Yeah, listen to Crime and Sports.
Yes.
Is what you should be doing. What the hell's wrong with you? I don't like sports. It doesn't matter.
Not a lot of it is sports.
There's not a lot of it sports. It's fucking...
It's a lot of fun.
Crime and sports. It's a Trojan horse for our fucking show. For us. That's it. So if you enjoy the way we tell a story, you'll fucking like it. Especially. So start out 2 weeks ago. Go Bernard Wallow and then do James Scott. The last 2 we did. And you'll like the goddamn show, and you'll be hooked from then on. And if not, then sorry, fucking I wasted 2 hours of your time.
We did our best.
But give it a shot, because it's awesome stuff. Also, that's every Tuesday, by the way. And also listen to P.S. I Hate This Movie on Fridays, where we talk about bad romantic comedies and all that good shit. So get into that. Check all that out. If you want to be just a hero to the show, well, there's a lot of ways to do that. First of all, follow us on social media.
There you go.
If you want to find stuff out. Also, I recommend to you guys, if you're kind of new or you haven't checked it out, go on like Facebook and find the groups.
Yeah.
I think people have fun in there. They seem to get along. They're nice to each other. They're supportive of each other. They they help each other out. They laugh about the shows. They all sorts of shit. I think they'll have a good time.
Moral support from time to time, and it's
similar.
It's actually fascinating.
It's a like-minded group of people probably for you. So
it's pretty wild to watch.
Yeah, there's like 5 different small-town murder groups. There's some crime and sports groups. So check all those out. And like even on Twitter, they interact a lot. On Instagram, the fans are really cool to each other, all the listeners. So do that. You can follow us on Facebook. It's at Murder Small, right?
No.
That's where we are. No, that's Small Town Pod on Facebook, at Murder Small on Twitter, at Small Town Murder on Instagram.
Got it.
Wow, that was crazy. Follow us on all those and look for the other ones there. Do everything like that. If you want to be a bigger hero to the show, though, you want to be a producer, damn it, you can do that excessively easily. Jimmie will fuck up your name.
I will.
We'll love and worship you forever, and you'll get access, if you're above the $5 mark, to all of our bonus stuff. Right. So crime and sports and small town murder, and the bonus stuff has even less to do with sports. It's just, we did personal ads from the 90s and 80s in the one. It's just hilarious stuff. Trust me, the bonus material's worth it. It's always good shit. Very funny shit. So check all that out. All of it can be found at patreon.com/crime and sports. Or let's say you just want a shout out and you want to feel like a good person. You want to have good karma and you don't give a shit about any of the other stuff. You can do that easy over at PayPal using our email address, which is crimeandsports@gmail.com. You do all of that shit. And you know what, Jimmie?
Yeah.
It's been a long week.
It has.
It's been a crazy few weeks. We've had lots of stuff going on. Yeah. I need to feel good. Yeah. I need to be uplifted. You know what can do that for me, damn it? Jimmie, give me the names of these people. The best fucking people on the face of the earth. Let me hear them.
This week's executive producers are Vanessa Castillo, Neil Jones, Melissa Turner, Salvador Sanchez, Lisa Newberger, Brandon Martinez, Keaton Phillips, Ziandra Nwadam Pinka, Nwamqua.
Valiant effort you're giving here, Jimmie.
That was the one.
He's trying.
Ziandra, you're fantastic. Ethan Judd, Jessica Shannon, Marguerite Hogue, Alex Faulkner, John Hyde, Dragonfly Girl, Shauna with no last name, Chantel with no last name, Will Bailey, Hugo Onuku. No.
Batting 1,000.
Laura Doubt It. I think. Serena D., Kane Simmons, Jennifer Jansen, Clay Thorson, Catherine Conqueror, Rick Sikora, in memory of Jeremy Sikora. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nilu Rafsanjani, Jordan Bennett, Shauna Rogers, and Jackie Sukup. Thank you guys so much. Other producers this week are Joe Cassidy, Asia Music, Leonard Sanchez, Matt Bjork, Mallory Triest, Nicole Morris, Brian Cusino.
I
think. Matt and Gail Richards, Neil Cooper, Brian with no last name, Rebecca Spears, Haley Geisman? No. Ruby Rivera, Ark, Rick McAlpine, Michael Skrook, Stephanie Bobby, Allison Shearing, Josh McGrew, Lisa Maria Cirilli. Tyler Sheldon, Don Becker, Jess with no last name, Dana Robert, Sasha Trapko, Dave Tanstis Hall, damn it, Kinara with no last name. Ainsley is 32 but doesn't look it, I'm told. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Kaylee Martin, Roxanne Spaziano, happy birthday, and that's from Gianna DeLuca.
There you go.
Anna with no last name, Harry Jules, gross. Michael Gores, hang in there. Michael, Jesus, what did I do there? Oh, I tried to make that one name. Maticus, Heidi with no last name, Bill Scott, MJ, Jeremy Gordon, Kara Hyman, or He-Man, Derek Riesbeck, Subaru ASE Tech, that's somebody that's certified, man.
They are.
Coffee Cat, John Crowfoot, Mary Therese Onoshku, Jennifer Kuhn, I think, damn it, Amanda Hendricks, Jennifer Prater, Lori Taylor, Wyatt H., Sam Anderson, Andrew Hertig, Thomas Blair, Jessica Bautista, Ashley Furman, Sophie LaPlane, David Thornton, Rebecca Pete, Maddie Weissman, Tyler Schlepp, Jessica Widmer, Josh and Jen Hust, Eric Hack Barty, I think. God damn it. Kendall Hansen, Elvia Castaneda, Francis Wright Olson, Laura Stickney, Amy Kyler, Chantrell Meyer, Debbie Salmi, Bobby Sons, Catherine Henderson, Jeremy Gordon, Jenica, I think. That can't be right. Martin, Natalie C., Ben Williams, Al Entringham, Haley Bennett, Jackie with no last name, Eric Schaus, Kevin Luss Jr., Seth Collins, Scott W., Katie Grabham, Shandy Schneider, Lillian Shupp, Ray Boys, Christy Durham, Nicole with no last name, Mary Keenan Brown, Lindsay Stuckless, Amy Mathis, yes, Donald LeBeau, Elizabeth Mitchell, Samantha Roy, Stephen Barella, yeah. Keith Ross, Victoria Miller, Stevie Reader, Samantha Thompson, Rebecca Ness, June Fear, God damn it, Michael Sutherland, Amanda Clockey, Ulysses, Adam Urania, Marlene Cole, Jessica Boyer, Margie Stevens, Mo Titus, Angela Catrix, Keith Reeves, Duana Washington, Macy with no last name, Jordan Brook, Sherry Monday, Carly G, Eric Rodriguez, Jan Dimes Casey, Ian, sorry.
There you go.
Lauren Malone, Nicholas Charles, Katie Isbell, Lindsay Pereira, God damn it, Marissa Scott, Michael Faherty, Tom Bonima, Jamie with no last name, Sal with no last name, Dana Sparks, Melissa with no last name, Austin Sellers, Michelle with no last name, Heather Hall, Blair Romas, Mary Beth Lally, Michelle with no last name, Dea, Markton, Graham Lee, Etchy Angel, Brandon with no last name, Melissa Henry, Josh with no last name, Christy Puco, Sammy Lipkowitz. Those aren't even close. Heidi Schmillen, Samantha Stafford, Melissa Ramella, Amy Levesque, Luke Miller, Ulysses Portillo, Stacy's stepson Alex turned 15. Happy birthday!
Hey, happy birthday!
Melissa Westgard, Adriana Tomasian. Tomb Asian, Stephanie Simon.
Tomb Asian?
I don't know. That's how it's spelled. Eric Granado, Chase Prather, Randon Jones, Hannah Suckert, Greg Gottlieb, Dylan LaValle, Shay with no.
That's my favorite of the day.
It's not one. That's not right.
I enjoy that.
Ashley Durbin, Rachel with no last name, Tony Patrick, Beth Young, Connor Panton, Jill Hubbard, Alexandra Gilmore, Barbara Carr, Kelly with no last name, Aaron Lynn Reed, Jessica Rapin? I don't know what I wrote there, and I'm Pappin. Dan Lynch, Stephen Curry, Kasia Garcia, Jess Cam, Lena Sears, Richard Berman, Sarah Eco, Stacy Cheney, Linda Lesterson, Tess Fury, Hunter Thompson. That's a real name.
Hey, lucky bastard.
I know. I looked it up. I don't know if his middle name's Steven or some shit. Stephanie, maybe? Sorry.
Something S.
Karen Elmore, Michael or Mikhail Neal, John Wojnar, Amy Hansford, JM, CGB, Jennifer Walker, Jessica Baldwin, Lex Swanson, Christopher Tobish, Whitney with no last name, Joseph Martin, Elizabeth Zingarelli. Yep. Joe Herbert. Schmoop McDoodle wrote a great email. Thank you. Bridget Fox, Jake Davis, Andrew McDonald, Danita, or is that Danita? Haley? I don't know what I wrote. I apologize. Jack Becker, Rob with no last name, Brian Paul, Bree S., Judd Spade, Morgan Bartolom.
Hey.
Probably not. Jason Rogers.
Maybe.
Ricky Lee Roselle. Maggie Williams.
It is.
Is it?
I know.
Andrew Hunt. Brendan with no last name. Jessica Lucas. Grace Holtkamp. Trina with no last name. Jessica Barfield. Ryan Conrad. Trevor Dickey. Hopi Hoopla. Jeff Mahoney. Tara Buckwalter. Ann Wittenmeyer. Ava. Dawn Sickles. I don't think that's right. Jenny Jones, I hope.
Okay.
Especially with the Scared Straight references this week.
Yeah, really.
Justin Clark, Joseph Creeder, Ellen Fallon, Christian McCall, Grace Holtkamp. I said that, Justin Clark.
There you go.
James Newman, Audrey Cantrell. Damn it. Carolyn Favin, nice email. Thank you very much. Jeff Buchholz, Rebecca Marie, Ashley Vio, Stephen Grieger, Jorge Vega, Anthony with no last name, Logan Melville, Jeremy Green, Liz Vasquez, Lindsay Miller, Pierce Andrews, Pauline Walton, Susanna Platt, Beth Charlton, Zach Tuttle, Aaron Otto, Paige Christine Holtz Norenberg. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Peyton Meadows, Sarah Hunt. That's an actual real person.
That's
by the
interesting.
way. Dylan LaValle, Rebecca Bookout, Taylor Kratke, Renee with no last name, James Martyr, Becky Toivonen. No. BDT Projects hurts so good. I'm not sure what that means. Taylor Champion, Gart Fardington. I don't think that's a real name.
I think hurts so good has a better chance of it being a real name.
You're probably right. Will Kirkpatrick, Maria Goal.
I don't think that's a real name.
Jennifer Visconti, Alex S. Margaret with no last name, Jess Kopp, Jennifer Hay, Andrew Parks, Don Peterson, Kaylin Edwards, Candace Ganilka. No. One of those letters is silent. Kyle with no last name. Kira Gottschall, Stacy Ingram, Melissa Glidewell, Brianna Mattingly, Kay Schmer, Megan with no last name, Bill Meddy or Matei, Joshua Sanders, Jamie Brown, Jessica Talbot, Tom Hamilton, Katie Owens, Lindsay Hardy, Charles Boucher, Janice Hill, Sin with no last name, Mariah Knight, Bob Beaupre, Paul Navarro, Michael Kelso, Liz Leatherland, Brittany Scherzer, Red Gingerson. Probably not a real name. Catherine Cantieri, Deborah McConey, Allison Morris, Stephen Otey II, James Haber. Paul Biln, God damn it, Stacy with no last name, Chris Clark, Brett Stoker, Rob Dennison, his badass wife Abby, Krista Walker, home stretch, like 9 left. Josh Cole, Old Dick Minge, Jill Locan, Heather Murphy, and Adam Udany, Demetrius Fries, Darren Mihal, Mark Leiter, Carl Kirshner, Shelley Roberts, Rebecca Bath, Jude Kendall, Sarah Minto, Mark Burrows, Sachin Vats. That's a
sucks and fuck. What's
sucking butts? No, it's Sachin Vats.
Oh,
it's a tough
I heard
one,
suck and fuck, and you heard suck and butt, and then it's neither of them. We're sorry about that, Sachin Vats.
Sachin's a fantastic person. Cameron Skinner, happy birthday, and all of our Patreon supporters. You're fucking amazing.
Thank you so much, everybody. Honestly, Jesus, you guys are the best.
It really is amazing.
We really appreciate everything you guys do for us. Honestly, we cannot do the show without you because you keep this going, and this. You make it so, we don't have to try to go fucking risk our lives, or not risk our lives, but basically go out there and do fucking stand up for 10% of a room or 20% of a room or whatever people are let into. And it's a miserable time to be a comedian. You guys are making it.
It's tough as shit.
Yeah, you guys are making it an okay time to be a comedian. Yeah. You guys are making it just fine for us. And
you're making it fun.
We can't thank you guys enough for doing that for us, giving us a lifeline here. We love you to fucking death. Jimmy, what if they wanted to tell you something nice, mean, or in between? How could they get a hold of you?
At Whisman Sucks. WHISMAN Sucks. That's what it is. Where can they find you?
Find me at Jimmy P is funny, or just you know how to fucking you know how to find names. Yeah. You know how to find people by now, don't you?
You can.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You can find a lot of things.
You can find
horrifying.
It's a lot, yeah. You want to find something, just look up Crystalia trending stories and just read some shit on that.
It's very easy to find wild shit.
Yeah, that's your weekend homework. Yeah. Enjoy all of that.
It's going to take a weekend to get through it.
That's what I'm saying. But until then, everybody, and until next week, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest, In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.